Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Let's go racing, boys.
I'll come at you like a spider monkey.
Let's go racing, boys.
I screwed that all up. That's my hair look, eh?
Let's go racing, boys.
Who's the bartender?
To this one, right?
We interview each other just when nobody else cares.
This is our last race on Fox.
Fox Sports welcomes you to the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware. And it's been a tough 12-race stretch for the former champions. Today, will Dale Earnhardt Jr. pull into victory lane for the first time in 74 races? Who will catch the 23-year-old points leader Kyle Busch? The answer is 400 miles away. As we welcome you inside the Hollywood Hotel, we're trackside. It's sunny and warm, temperature in the 80s, and this is where America gathers for racing. The last roundup, the final race of the season for us on Fox. Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Hammond.
Don't ever
Chris
say
Myers.
roundup around him. He'll get a cowboy hat out or boots or something.
I know you get emotional.
Can you believe?
It's been 8 years of this, right?
Oh, yeah, it's been 8 years, but it's gone by fast.
Tell
I
us
mean,
right now.
I'll tell you.
I think we're still in Daytona.
And we're going to be around for a lot longer, from Daytona to Dover. And save it. You'll hold it together till the end of the race today. But so far, what I know you get very emotional. Based on what we've seen, Darrell, what are we going to see the rest of the way here?
Well, we got to. I wish we were here to see if Dale Jr. when he wins, or when Jeff Gordon wins, or when Tony Stewart wins. Those are three huge stories. And then I got to think that this new car, they got to do something to this new car before too long to get these drivers a little bit happier with it. Guys still not real satisfied with the car.
Well, man, we got a long ways to go, but we still got 13 races before we get to that chase, and I think that's really where the battle's going to be, is trying to figure out who's going to stay in that top 12. That's going to be what I'm going to be watching.
Greg Biffle on the pole today, and no pole winner has won a race so far this year. Well, nothing new for two-time NASCAR champ Tony Stewart to be without a win at this point of the season, because in 4 of the last 5 years, he didn't get his first victory until the 13th race of the year. Tony's excited about today and his charity racing event coming up in Ohio this week. But first, he has some work to do here. Tony joining us live from down on the track. Tony, we appreciate it. I know the focus on winning and today's race, but people interested in your next contract here. What's going to be the most important thing for you, whether it's with Gibb Racing or somewhere else?
I just appreciate you bringing up the fact that I haven't won this year. I mean, I appreciate you checking on those important stats that everybody really wants to know about, and reminds everybody that I haven't won a race
well,
yet.
People shouldn't panic. You're a little bit of a late starter, a late bloomer.
I'm a late bloomer.
We're aware of that, yeah. So what about your contract for next year? What can you tell us before?
I'm so busy trying to win a race right now, I can't even concentrate on trying to do anything else. I mean, when people like you bring that up, I got to focus even that much harder on trying to win races, so I can not be introduced that way.
Hey, Smoke, it's DW. I got a question for you, buddy. You know, I had my own team one time, and I had a limited amount of success. Why do you think people always say that a driver can't be a good car owner? How would you answer your critics if they said that to you?
Well, I'm an owner in the World of Outlaw Series and USAC with, the midget sprints and Silver Crown cars on that side. So I don't know. It's, I think there's pluses and minuses to having drivers as car owners. I think, we obviously see it from the driver's standpoint, but, there's more to being a car owner than being a driver. It's, you've got to understand the business side of it. You have to understand the people side of it, and that's something that as drivers we're not really trained to do. We're trained to feel the race car and concentrate on the race car, whereas a car owner, you have to worry more about the people that you have underneath you than worrying about necessarily what the feel of the car is for a particular day.
So do you feel like you maybe are prepared to tackle something like that?
Potentially. I mean, obviously, with 2 World of Outlaw cars and 2 USAC teams, I don't think we've done too bad. We've won 3 Knoxville Nationals and a championship on the World of Outlaw side, and we've won 3 or 4 USAC championships already. So, and a lot of races over there. So, I feel like that it's something that potentially down the road I could do. But, right now it's still about the job at hand each week, and that's going out and doing the best we can for Joe Gibbs Racing and Home Depot and Toyota, and just going out and doing our job. And this is I actually told him, I said, this might be the first time in a lot of years that I've actually started close enough to the front where I can actually see him drop the green flag starting 21st. So I'm excited. I might actually get to see the green flag drop versus being in the middle of turn 3 and 4.
But Tony, let's spin it forward real quick. The Dream is coming up this week. Have you already checked the weather? I mean, are you excited about this upcoming week?
I'm very excited. It's it's such an honor to have all these guys: Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Casey Kane, Ryan Newman. everybody that's coming this year again. So many guys. Clint Boyer, Carl Edwards is back as the defending champion. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. All these guys and so many guys that are bringing brand new race cars or had cars built just to come to the Prelude and have fun with us for a night. I mean, it's a huge honor to have all these guys coming and Pam Miller and Artie Kempner and all the guys that are producing this, and HBO pay-per-view on June 3rd. It's that's what's exciting about this, being able to order it on June 3rd and watch it from home and watch all your favorite NASCAR stars be able to play on the dirt for a couple days.
All right, Tony, I know you have driver introductions. We appreciate your time here. All right?
Thanks a lot.
All right, guys.
All those great drivers, and I get
thanks,
to drive
Chris,
the
by the
water.
way. Thanks for reminding me.
You guys will you guys have some inside information on where he's racing next year a little later in the show. All right, whether it's crab cakes or tasty cakes, people enjoying themselves in Dover. Here's what's ahead on the rest of the program. NASCAR's top drivers using their drivers, teeing off to help Fox Supports Autism Speaks, and our hit list.
What's going on?
Yes, you won the game.
Kyle Busch, young and brash. If that sounds familiar, we'll help you understand. Gas and Go, a final bow for the season. And hey, Dick Berggren, wake up. All right, we got a show to do. It's NASCAR on Fox from Dover. Welcome back to Dover, Delaware. Elliott Sadler, one of the drivers, helping in the fight against autism and raising awareness at autismspeaks.org. He's got the tight whip, car dressed up, ready to roll. Elliott, a contract extension with Gillette Evernham Racing this week. Fox Sports supports, in a way, to try and help health-related charities. And Autism Speaks is the official charity for NASCAR on Fox. Thursday, we all gathered in Wilmington, Delaware for the 7th annual Drive for Autism, the golf outing raising awareness and funds to help in the fight against autism. A great event and par for the course.
I'm your on-course reporter. This is the Drive for Autism at the DuPont Country Club. Back-to-back NASCAR champ Jimmy Johnson. He's getting ready to tee off. Precision, focus, concentration. Yes.
Save it for Sunday.
Oh, I'm
Seriously.
sorry. Okay, I'm just right. You're hitting. I'm sorry. Okay. All right.
Golf tournament.
Okay. I'm sorry. All right, sorry.
To be here for autism and meet some of the kids before, sign some things, take pictures, it's pretty neat.
It's cool to be here. It's a great event. A lot of different cool celebrities here. A lot of people have come out for it, and a lot of sponsors have showed up for it. And it's a big week for us.
And we have a caution out on the golf course. So let's go to Jeff Hammond and his golf cutaway cart.
Chris, what happened to Juan Pablo Montoya is real simple. Let me show you right quick, folks. Here's the fuel cell on the cart. The problem is the pickup was not all the way at the bottom. He was going up the hill, stalled the cart. His teammate ran in the back of him. And that's the reason why we got a red flag on the course. Boy!
It's great to see everybody out. It's great to have a lot of fun. The weather's been awesome and fun playing golf.
Artie Kempner has just done an incredible job with putting this golf tournament on and the amount of money he's been able to raise the last few years.
So it's been a lot of fun, and in the end, as long as it raises awareness and raises money for autism, we're in great shape.
That's the way you do it.
You see some amazing shots on this course. This ball landed by the oldest tree here in Delaware. In fact, so old that Dick Berggren once said to the, hey! Everybody had a good time. And David Hill, our boss with the Fox Supports program, first year where we link a sport with a particular charity, and obviously autism with NASCAR. We'll do it for Major League Baseball, the NFL on Fox. It was great to have you guys out there and drivers helping out.
Success,
And athletes, all athletes are blessed. We're so blessed to be able to do what we do. And you know why we're able to do it? Because of fans. And fans are a part of our community. And in that community are people that need help. And I think it's part of an athlete's responsibility to step up and give back to the people that are actually helping pay his salary.
Very well said, and at the same time, it's a lot of fun to do.
It is.
Yeah.
We had a ball, man. Round one.
Our director, Artie Kempner's wife, Marcy, helping to drive the event every year as well. And we invite you to play AT&T's Fantasy Racing Challenge. Text the car number that you think will win at 2258. You can play all season long, maybe win $31,000 or other great prizes. We're counting it down to the start of the 400-mile race here on Fox from Dover. And Jimmy Johnson, back-to-back champ. Clint Boyer, part of Richard Childress Racing. Casey Kane comes in on a roll. NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Sunoco. From NASCAR to your car, Sunoco, it's what's inside. By McDonald's, come taste the new Southern-style chicken sandwich. By E-Trade. And by the people who make one-touch products. More power to you. The way Darrell and Jeff have traveled this year through the AutoZone pit zone, it might have seemed more like the Twilight Zone with numerous dimensions. And we know Jeff Hammond doesn't know the meaning of the word fear. In fact, he doesn't know the meaning of a lot of words.
What?
But he is the crew chief of the Hollywood Hotel.
He's got his dictionary.
From the top of the AutoZone pit zone, Megabucks, we always try to be serious and work hard to come up with a winning combination to get to victory lane. But every now and then, you've got to get off the top of this box and have a little bit of fun. Well, this year, I did exactly that.
My desperado buddy here, you know.
The tanning salon called. They found your robe, by the way.
We're qualified.
Clean his heart.
Oh. No. Really good. Fantastic. So I get to hit you. I love to watch. Making that water dance. Lord, just don't take him out. Please.
He was.
Hey.
You ain't John Wayne, dude.
I know I'm not, but I sure would like to be.
Well, okay, Pilgrim. And, you know, Darrell, he's such an easy target. You've worked with him a lot of years.
You know, the thing I like about him is he's always doing something that you don't expect, and he's never doing anything that you do expect. That's what I love about him.
Oh, yeah? Really?
Yeah.
You can ask Jeff a lot more questions. Ask the pros, built by the Home Depot at foxsports.com. You can also talk to Tony Stewart. Remind him that he hasn't won a race this year. Talk to his crew chief about Greg Zipadelli. Oh, look, they like that. Go to foxsports.com/askthepros.
Yeah, I have plenty of time. Write me.
Recently, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was asked about the history of the bad boys in NASCAR, and he mentioned his father, the Intimidator. He didn't quite put our Darrell Waltrip in that group, but he did say Kyle Busch seems to be enjoying the role. Kyle, like DW, regardless of age, knows how to race, knows how to win, knows how to talk.
I'm a Kyle Busch fan.
Is it because he reminds you of a young Darrell Waltrip?
Well, Darrell was a controversial person. He had got his name by harassing his other driver friends.
Here comes Rowdy Busch.
There are no friends in the garage. He won't even talk to his brother anymore.
These cars are a little jumpier than the cars that are old.
Let's not beat around the bush. They all drive like junk.
And I want to win 15 races this year. Lesser experienced drivers sometimes cause problems.
If he wants to play those games, he's going to get hurt.
Darrell was a very colorful addition.
Ain't you got anything to say?
You don't have to get bossy.
Yankees are all alike.
Kyle plays it up.
Two cars got together, and, unfortunately, it was Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Doesn't mind showing his character.
You're going to probably be the most hated man in the junior nation.
Darrell certainly had half the people loved him and half of them didn't.
When he go down to Interstate 77 in Charlotte, they boo him. Kyle goes out and bows to the crowd when they boo. You're not bragging if you can back it up. Darrell could, and so can Kyle.
Kyle Busch starts third, and he has yet to win here. Look at the numbers with Darrell and Kyle, the comparisons. Of course, championships, that's the important thing, Darrell. How about this? I mean, he's 23, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 33. Who has a better chance of winning a championship, or who wins one sooner?
Well, I just like Kyle's chances. Here's the thing you got to have. To win races and championships, got to have a fast car. He's got a fast car.
And
I
you also
like
got to have a little bit of an attitude.
I think he's got it all.
How's he able to hold that up with other drivers out on the track?
Again,
Results.
Chris, again,
that helps,
right there. I have to say this: you weren't necessarily trying to win a popularity contest when you started driving. I mean, not that you were trying to pick enemies.
Just like him, he has fun. I had fun. I enjoyed my role.
Right.
There was good guys, there were bad guys. I just happened to be the bad guy.
So he loved poking the bear.
Right. Didn't he once challenge people to a fight at a Walmart?
No, at Kmart.
Kmart. Okay.
That was taken out of context.
Okay.
I would have had a lot more friends if I hadn't worked for him.
Yeah. Problem is, Darrell didn't show up, and Hammond was ready to take out anybody. That's how they do it on this show.
You always had me, though. That's
I always had you.
We're getting you ready for those famous words in racing. Gentlemen, print your boarding passes. But first, there is 400 miles, 400 laps. It's a sunny day in Dover.
That 24 car, it's got that look. Gordon's coming. That car is so good.
This the 13th race of the season, so the halfway point to the chase for the Sprint Cup Championship. Top 12 drivers are in. Kyle Busch, your points leader. Junior has led the most laps of any driver who has yet to win. David Reagan on the fringe, 13th in points. Time now for Gas and Go, the final one of the year. It's an all prediction Gas and Go. No one knows the contents of these questions.
Yes, it is.
Nor do they care about the answers. All right.
Do you think I look intelligent?
Darrell, we have a clock here. Oh, soothsayer from Franklin, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Darrell.
No.
NASCAR on Fox. First season so far where Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the Fox season, they have not won a race during this time. Any of those three? When will that change? Who will be the first to break through?
Well, it could be today. I mean, Dale Jr. runs good here. Jeff Gordon runs good here. But this is Smokes racetrack, and I think today's Smokes day.
Oh, I like that. He'll smile. All right, Jeff, Joey Logano finishing 6th in the first Nationwide Series race for him in his career. The 18-year-old, a lot of hype. Is he the guy who's going to take over for Gibbs Racing if Tony were to leave?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
He is definitely the future there at Joe Gibbs Racing.
All right. He's Darrell. Who's in? Who's out? Give us a yes or no. The chase for the championship. Casey Kane. Does he make it?
Yes.
Does Matt Kenseth make it?
Maybe.
That's not one of the answers.
Yes or no?
Some soothsayer he is.
No.
Maybe.
No, it's cloudy. It's cloudy. Okay,
Ryan,
that's a no.
Ryan.
No.
Okay, Ryan Newman.
No.
No, and Martin Truex Jr.
Maybe. Yeah, he'll make it.
He'll make it. Oh, we got two maybe. All right, Jeff, will Sam Hornish Jr. and Dario Franchitti be back in NASCAR next year?
I don't think so. I mean, really? Sam Hornish maybe, but I don't think Dario is going to be coming back. I think that he struggled to the point that it may disenchant him a little bit that he will not come back.
All right. Darrell, will Tony Stewart and Greg Biffle change teams by the end of the year or by August 1st, a key deadline? Where's Tony going to end up?
Tony's going to make a change. I mean, I just think, I hate I'm not going to be here when he makes the announcement. He's going to make a change. Greg Biffle, I think he's pretty well locked into where he is. Mainly because he's been there for 11 years. I don't think he really wants to go anywhere.
The one thing I'm hearing about Tony Stewart is he's not saying, I want to stay at Gibbs. So that should be a good indication.
I meant to ask him what car number he was going to be. That would have been a good one.
All right, so that's right. So Logano takes his spot. Tony goes to the Chevy. Okay, and then Roush Fenway keeps Greg Biffle.
I think so.
Yeah,
okay, for both of you, best for last. Who will win the championship?
Oh, that's real easy. I don't even take a crystal ball for this. I believe that Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be able to pull it out. I think that he's got the consistency. I also believe he will win a race before Tony Stewart today, maybe, but definitely before July 4th.
Hey,
Darrell, how about you?
I have the answer right here on my little card.
Kyle Busch, 18.
Is
okay.
it cognac or cognac?
No, you'll have cognac later. Karnak, the Magnificent.
18.
All right.
All right, Chris, you keep asking us, who do you think, with your professional knowledge, will wind up being?
You want to wear my hat?
I'll take the Cubs over the Red Sox at the World Series.
No, we're talking racing.
I'm going to take Carl Edwards. He's already won 3 races. He races every lap like it's his last lap, no matter what car he's in or where he's racing. So that's my shot there.
Hey, Featherhead. Featherhead right there. Hey.
Yeah. Darrell, I must say you look a little better in that hat than any of us do with our predictions.
I think I look charming.
Darrell, the effect of drivers changing places there'll be some sponsors, major shifting of sponsors as well. Yes.
Maybe.
Okay, that's it.
You got to realize right now UPS is looking for a place to go.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised you don't see him with Tony Stewart.
This is going to be the more changes. When we get to Daytona in February, you watch. There'll be more changes, drivers, crew chiefs, sponsors than we've ever seen before.
And what's the deadline, Darrell, even for next year? They have to, by August 1st, September 1st, as far as?
August the 15th.
Oh,
That's my anniversary.
All right, Darrell's going to have. In fact, he'll give report cards on all the racing teams during the race with Larry McReynolds. You're heading up to the play-by-play booth. Have fun. Thanks for a great year as always, of being a good sport with.
Take that hat with you.
I'll just keep this.
Take the hat.
Might come in handy over at Opryland somewhere.
Hey, it's been fun.
We're counting it out to the start of the race here at the Monster Mile. Last Dover win, by the way, by a Joe Gibbs racer, Tony Stewart, in 2000. That deserves a wow. Welcome back on a sunny, warm day in Dover, Delaware. 400 laps, 400 miles around the Monster Mile. A crowd of more than 140,000 have gathered to see America's best drivers work their way around this track. We're glad you're with us. Let's head down to the track for opening ceremonies.
Race fans, please rise. Joining me here on the stage from the Military District of Washington are the Armed Forces Color Guard. And here to give today's invocation, Pastor Dan Schaefer of the Calvary Assembly of God in Hightstown, New Jersey.
Shall we pray? Almighty God, we are so proud to be here at Dover International Speedway for this great race. And as we stand here, we pause for a moment to thank you for this great country in which we live, the United States of America. And we remember all of our soldiers at home and abroad, that you would be with them and keep them. And now we ask you, Lord, as we always do, for a great race, for a safe race. We pray this in Christ's name. Amen. Shalom.
Please remain standing as I present to you the Grammy-nominated minus recording artist, Emerson Drive for today's anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Special thoughts and prayers for Julie Weinstein, her family member of the Fox family, the loss of her father, John Gordon, this week. A good man, served his country in the military. And the family of Jim Mowry, one of our associate directors in Los Angeles, lost to battle with cancer. Simply one of the best of what he did. Jim will be remembered for being a devoted family man. He will always be a part of our Fox Sports family. Drivers getting ready to race here at Dover. Earlier they chatted with us our final hit list of the season for NASCAR on Fox.
Your favorite book?
I like the Hardy's Boys book in 7th grade. I think I read that the whole way through.
Well, that was one of
the last book that I read all the way through.
Guilty as pleasure.
It's got to be eating chocolate ice cream before I go to bed.
And that's not a good time to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't get a body like this by eating salad before I went to bed, all right?
So you have to work on that, I guess.
I mean, I got to work on this. What's wrong with this?
What bothers you most on the track?
When somebody runs into me, that's probably my biggest pet peeve, because my instant reaction is to stop and run back into them, and usually it tears my car up.
Yeah, you don't know whether it's an accident or
I don't care.
Favorite place that you'd like to visit that you've never been?
I'd like to go to Germany, see where my ancestors came from. I think that'd be cool to drink a beer in a bar wherever that town is.
Favorite track of all time?
It's like Dover.
Okay.
You know, it's just fast, bang, but at the same time it's small. It's pretty cool.
Who's your favorite Fox Sports announcer, other than me?
Boy.
Choose me anyway.
I think, I don't know, Larry Mack's the man.
Yeah, he kind of talks the language.
He does it right. He's just got so many isms, you know, so many things that are just his.
Is that a trick question? I don't understand. Chris Myers?
Well, that's just because I'm standing here.
Yeah, before we put a period on this pre-race show, before we go up to Larry and Daryl, thoughts today, Jeff, expecting at this track. First of all, it's so difficult. It's going to be hot and slick, very different than the rain yesterday.
Yeah, it definitely is. This racetrack, I mean, again, I think Juan Pablo Montoya kind of summed it up. This racetrack is very, very fast with the way the banking is, the way it transitions down in the corners and back out, and in particular down the back straightaway. It's a very, very narrow racetrack. When you get down here and you make a mistake, well, you can have a big one at this place called Dover, the Monster Mile.
And the position is important starting up front.
It's
the drivers more so
yes.
than some other places.
A lot about track position right now, and making the right decisions on pit road to get that track position could be very critical, at least early on.
And some of the pit road stops a little bit difficult getting in and out of, depending upon where you are.
This is one of the most treacherous pit roads that not only getting on, but working on and getting back off.
Martin Truex Jr. was the guy who won it last year. Will we see a surprise guy? Will we see a familiar name today?
You may see this guy right there, Elliott Sadler, win, or Jeff Gordon get his first win of the year.
Sadler starting inside the top 10. Let's head down trackside once again.
Ladies and gentlemen, here on the Speedway, I have Camille and Francesca Galli to give today's command along with their mom, Shelly. They were the winners of the Best Buy 400 auction to benefit Autism Speaks. And now to set the field in motion.
Gentlemen, it's in.
Top 4 qualifiers for today's race. all different makes. Chevrolet has won 3 of the last 10 Dover races, and we're getting ready to crank this thing up. Sprint Cup racing on Fox from Dover International Speedway to guide you through it as they have all season long. Darrell, Larry, Mike Joy up in the booth. Mike showing us all a picture, a photo that he's had for years that he's very proud of.
I'm not sure. It was 25 years ago, Chris. On the left, Dave Buxton, who trained the horses, ran the horse track here at Dover Downs. Darrell in the white jacket, Cale Yarborough, Dale Earnhardt, Bobby Allison with the trophy, track president Dennis McGlynn, and myself. Bobby Allison is the only driver to win a Sprint Cup race here. He won 7 of them, and a harness race at Dover Downs.
I tell you what, you sit behind one of those things on a little bicycle seat, no helmet, no anything, and that horse goes where he wants to, not where you want to. That was scary.
1 horsepower is hard to control. Speaking of hard to control, we practiced and qualified at this racetrack in far different weather and much cooler, Darrell, than what we have to deal with today.
Let me tell you, this joint it's scary to race here. You go off in these corners at 175 miles an hour, and it's like a bad roller coaster ride. You go down in that corner, and that car bottoms out, and it wants to shoot up the hill, and then you go into that concrete canyon back there. Coming off turn 2 is as treacherous as it gets. Pit road, another big problem. So this place, you better be on your toes all day long.
Larry, it's the hottest day of the racing season so far.
And that's going to be a challenge for a lot of reasons. Darrell can certainly relate to this. A driver never gets to relax at this place. It doesn't matter what the temperature is, but we have the hottest race day we've had in 2008. It's going to be a big responsibility of that crew chief to keep that driver pumped up. It's going to be hard on pit crews. And trust me, this track will be totally different from what they practiced in yesterday, not near the grip.
So the final NASCAR on Fox race for 2008 will be quite a challenge for all. Here's how they qualified for today's 400-mile race with Greg Biffle driving a Roush Fenway Ford on the pole.
Let's see if we can get old Greg here. Biff, how you doing, buddy? It's DW up in the Fox booth.
I'm doing great, DW. Pretty excited about today's race.
You know, Biff, I've always thought you were a wheel man, and today you're going to have to prove it. How's your hot rod? Is it going to run good for you?
I really think it is, DW. It's the guys did a great job at Happy Hour, and you know, we've got this car running really, really good. It's hot and slick today. You know, it's going to get hot and slick, and a little bit of rain over the weekend. So we don't really know what we're going to have exactly, but we got a lot of adjustability in it. I got confidence in my guys that we're going to have a good run.
All right, my man, this is your kind of race. 1 mile slick, hot racetrack. Get up on that wheel and be the man, be the wheel man.
Gonna give it my best, you know that. 110% all day. See you guys.
See you, buddy.
Making a great race day with a perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Just turn left and enjoy Budweiser, the great American lager. 24 of 76 races at Dover have been won from the first 2 rows, but the last 4 have been won from 15th or further back.
Let's take a look at the race keys for this 400-lap, 400-mile race. Darrell talked about it, the exit of the corners, because you drive up out of the corner and you can get in trouble by yourself, as Darrell said, especially off turn 2. Caution on pit road. Great minds think alike. This is one of the most treacherous pit roads that we go to, especially getting on to pit road. Gamble at the end. We saw it win the truck race on Friday. We saw it prevail with some good finishes yesterday. You're going to have to not be afraid to gamble at the end of this race. And a little bit of bonus coverage here. It's hot. Stay cool, man. We've got a long way to go here.
The first 30 laps will be run to a competition yellow, unless there is a yellow flag in the vicinity of lap 30, as there was in yesterday's nationwide race. So no Sunoco race fuel can be taken on by the teams until the competition caution at lap 30.
Here you see it, 400 miles, 400 laps, pit road speed, the entire distance of the front stretch, 35 miles per hour. Mike, you talked about the pit window for Sunoco race fuel, 80 to 85 laps. Robbie Gordon will go to the rear of the field because of a driver change. Matt Crafton practiced and qualified that car. Robbie was in Baja.
Let's get down to pit road. Matt Yoakum.
Jeff Gordon venturing in the territory he's rarely seen throughout his Sprint Cup career. He's only gone twice into the month of June to go on and score that win, but Gordon's coming into a place where he's won 4 times and this team very consistent all weekend. Steve Burns?
Matt Martin Truex Jr. got his first and only Sprint Cup win here 1 year ago. Now today he starts 20th. But don't worry, last year he started 26th and led over 200 laps. Dick Berggren.
Although Tony Stewart hasn't won a Sprint Cup race so far this year, this is one of his best tracks. He's won twice here, led over 1,000 laps here, fastest lap ever turned here by Tony Stewart in an Indy car. He has finished in the top 5 several times this year. That's a formula for victory lane. Chris Devoda.
43 cars, 42 pit stalls. The 41 and the 34 will have to share. You see the 41 got first dibs. They have their box set up. If there are no vacancies, they're both going to pit at the same time. The car leading on the track will pit first. 34 Tony Raines crew, they're on standby.
Ready to race in the first state. In Dover, Delaware, beneath the VIP suite that sits above the racetrack, unique in motorsport. And we're ready to go.
Well, DW, it's going to be about 8 months before we get to do it again. Speed Weeks 2009. When you get in trouble here, buddy, it's big trouble. So reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time.
I'm about as blue as these skies right now, but at least we got blue skies. And, you know, folks, it's going to be a while, but it's been a great year. And the green flag's out of boogity, boogity, boogity. See you in February, boys.
Kurt Busch had the measure of pole sitter Greg Biffle in the middle of turn 2, but got wide and had to lift on exit. Biffle will lead the first lap.
He just about got in trouble off turn 2 on lap 1.
That's a tough corner, man, I tell you. This track is very symmetrical, but turn 2, I think it's really an optical illusion. Come up that corner, you don't look like you got enough room to make it down through there.
Well, I know our top 7 or 8 are single file, but it's a wad of cars behind those boys.
And that's what you're going to hear. I'm all over the track early, but the track will come in, the car will get better, and you got to hang on to this thing right now because you got your hands full at this point in the race. One in the wall, 96 in the wall, turn 2, I guess it was. Looked like he bounced off, he got going.
J.J. Yeley.
Mike, low air pressure, no grip in the car, no grip in the track. You got your hands full, man, just hanging on to this bad boy, let alone racing somebody.
Second place changes hands. Jimmy Johnson underneath Kurt Busch.
Fastest car both practices on Friday and Saturday. That 48 car looks prime today.
Yeah, when you look at the way they ran at Lowe's Motor Speedway, even though they had the engine problem, it looks like that 48 car, Jimmy Johnson, they're getting on track.
Let's show you what happened first to J.J. Yeley down in turns 1 and 2. On the right of your screen, the 96 on the outside. Brushed the wall. And now here's Kurt Busch on the opening lap out of turn 2.
Got up high, there's not a lot of grip up there, and he had to get out of the throttles, keep it out of the fence.
Kurt has now dropped to 4th. His younger brother Kyle has passed him, and here comes Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, that
looking for the 4th spot.
Car's not good, Mike. Looks like it must be real loose with him.
And I think this is a car that we're going to pay close attention to all day long. Jeff Gordon in the 24. He obviously qualified well. He was good in both practices, but we've seen that several times this year. Can they close the deal on race day?
Well, here's what we know. He may not run very good, but he'll probably finish pretty good.
Yes, sir.
They've been doing a pretty good job of taking cars that weren't great and getting good finishes out of them.
All these guys been back there racing. Oh, Greg Biffle in 16 car. You talked to him there under the pace laps. He's jumped out to almost a 2-second lead over Jimmy Johnson in the 48.
6th place battle here. Now Jamie McMurray has been diamonding the track down in 1 and 2, as Vickers does now. Sweeps up high, cuts it back down low, and comes off the corner.
That's kind of a sign of a tight car. Drive it in, it wants to run up the hill a little bit, let it go, and then turn and gas it. Rudiment's got trouble.
He was in the wall at turn 2 briefly.
Let's see what happened to him. Yeah, Didn't get any damage, though. The right side of the car is pretty clean.
He and Kenny Wallace, or excuse me, Joe Nemechek side by side.
Oh, my. Whoa. What a great save.
Here's what Jeff Burton saw.
And you know, we say this over and over again.
Inside, 5 inside.
But this car will just do that. You can save this car, which is amazing.
But Darrell, remember, that little save, as you mentioned, was at over 175, almost 180 miles per hour.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the lead. Greg Biffle has opened up on Jimmy Johnson.
But, Mike, we have seen this a lot this year out of this 16 car. They've got a fast car. They've just had a tough time getting to the end. That's what's had Greg Biffle discouraged, is keeping the wheels on this thing for 400 laps today.
Literally.
Literally.
Biffle the leader, Jimmy Johnson second. Here's Kyle Busch, 3 seconds behind the leader. Steve.
Mike, early in, Kyle Busch saying no forward drive off, and I'm loose with the back of the car.
And I just think that's a product of what we talked about. You can see how loose he was off turn 4. These guys have a totally different racetrack today than what they had yesterday when they were trying to get these things ready to race.
But the 2 guys that can handle cars like that are running first and second.
Right.
They don't mind them kicking out a little bit or being a little bit loose. They'll wheel them first and third, actually.
6th place switches hands again. Vickers goes back in front of McMurray, who had passed him a couple of laps ago.
Sure be nice to see that McMurray have a good run today. He's really kind of been up and down all year long. Be good to have a great run if he could.
He likes this racetrack, Darrell. A couple of years ago, he led nearly 100 laps here and finished second.
You know, not too far behind Kurt Busch, we just saw a glimpse of him a second ago, is A.J. Allmendinger, that 84 car. When he sits up there and qualifies 8th, people go, well, he'll just fall back. They had to get up on that wheel to qualify. You know what? He's holding his own. But I go back to a year ago. This is one of the racetracks that he seemed to run well at, especially as we got into the race.
The thing about the concrete racetrack, you either love it or you hate it. Concrete is a totally different feel than racing on an asphalt track.
Greg Biffle has opened up a lead now of 2, make it 3 seconds on Jimmy Johnson. Matt?
And Greg Biffle told me at the end of the first practice on Saturday, the best part about our race car on corner exit, when I want to mash the gas, I've got all the forward bite that I can handle, and it's showcasing that again. It was a little tight the opening laps, but as the pressure's built up, the car has come to life more and more, and it's definitely showing it on the stopwatch.
Yeah, it really is, Matt. He's at 25.0. Everybody else is 25.4. So he's got 4/10 in the bank right now.
That's Digger on the inside of turn number 3.
He's just peeking out a little bit. It's early. Says, oh, the race started. You just woke up. What's all that noise?
Well, Digger was late to the party. He had a lot of divots to fix up in Wilmington at DuPont Country Club from you folks on Thursday.
Riding with Elliott Sadler here in the 19 car. Right now, Elliott in the
crash. Turn 2.
Oh, and nowhere for Tony Stewart to go. And you see there nowhere for Denny Hamlin. They just keep wrecking over here. This is normal product of Dover Raceway.
The concrete canyon. You just get locked up there and can't do anything.
As you come up out of turn 2, the groove funnels, and one car gets sideways. There's nowhere to go.
But you wouldn't believe the amount of banking over there, Mike, that just leads you right to that inside wall, right where the 88 car is.
Elliott Sadler was the first car around. Tony Stewart, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Here's Scott Riggs. A lot of key contenders. And there's Elliott climbing out.
Now, yeah, I know at least 3 cars that are in the top 8 points right there. Harvick, Hamlin, and Earnhardt.
Harvick trying to fire it up, move away. Stewart will get what's left of his Home Depot Toyota back to pit road. Now you see Sadler out of his car. Elliott's Foundation is going to auction off the hood of that car. It's a little more crumpled than it was at the start of the day.
Let's see if we can get a look and see what happened here, guys. Goes Elliott there in the 19 car. He comes down the hill, right in the front of David Gilliland.
Get another look at it, but I didn't see that David Gilliland did anything wrong. He was right on the bottom of the racetrack.
Oh my gosh.
Hamlin came flying in there.
Absolutely.
Bill Elliott in the 21.
You know, when you come under that, when you come out of turn 2 back there, Mike, under that bridge, down low, it's pretty hard for the spotters to see that point on the racetrack. See the 19 go up the hill. Here comes Tony, and he says, oh man, please go down, please go down.
Boy, look at Casey Kane in that 9. He actually got some damage on the rear.
The 15's the one that done a whale of a job.
Darrell, we've always said this is a self-cleaning racetrack, and I think most drivers coming through turn 2 expected Sadler and everyone else to just slide to the bottom, and they didn't.
I agree.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. By the auto parts experts at AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone. By the Chevy Memorial Day Sale. And by Sprint, proud sponsor of the 2008 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Speed is beautiful.
As they came off turn 2, Elliott Sadler got down into David Gilliland. Sadler spun up and hit the wall, collected Tony Stewart, who was in the garage, along with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Denny Hamlin's 11 comes flying in there.
That's the one.
And it's on.
That's the one I don't understand. I mean, we were riding with Dale Jr., who was in front of Hamlin. Dale Jr. gets wound up, and here comes Hamlin just out of nowhere. And like you said, Mike, he was expecting that 19 to go down the hill, but then nobody expected anybody to come flying in like the 11 did. That was just, I'm not sure what happened there.
Let's ride with Casey Kane.
Casey Kane gets slowed down and stopped.
Stay high, stay high. I can't see. Maybe get in it.
And now Dale Earnhardt Jr.
19's up against the wall there.
Junior is slowed down. He's going to ease right through this opening right here. And about that time, unbelievable.
See, Junior gets slowed down. Denny Hamlin is well behind him and comes in there full bore.
No real good excuse for that.
All clear. Looking low, inside bumper, inside. Stay in there, man. Still piling in,
Crazy. That's it. How many in the All-Star race in Charlotte? Elliott got clipped and turned around, wrecked.
Bill Elliott in the 21's the one that got into Kevin Harvick, but Harvick drives underneath the 11 car, gets knocked underneath there.
I'm just not sure what the 11 was thinking. That just seems bad judgment.
All I can think of, Darrell, is as we discussed, it's a self-cleaning racetrack. Cars tend to slide to the inside. Could Hamlin have been thinking, I'm going to speed by and get by this on the outside and stay out of it?
It's pretty optimistic when the track was blocked.
I would agree.
Saw that list right there. That's actually half of our top 12 that was involved.
Elliott Sadler gets a ride back to the motor coach. His race at Dover ends after 16 laps, as does Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s, Denny Hamlin, Scott Riggs, Tony Stewart, and Kevin Harvick. All of those cars are in or on their way back to the garage area on the wrecker. Dick Berggren.
Well, Denny Hamlin is out of the care area now, care center. Looked like he went in there pretty hard. We're going to show you the tape. Tell us what happened.
All right. Our whole FedEx Kinko's Toyota was really coming to the front. We felt pretty good about what we had. It's just everyone going for the same spot. It's so tight off of turn 2 right there. I feel bad for Elliott, man. I came piling in there way late. I had the 43 right on my bumper. You know, try not to get hit from him. And, you know, when I heard wreck off turn 2, I immediately was on the brakes. These just cars don't stop as well as what they had in the past. And luckily, I wasn't the last one. It looked like guys even behind me piled in it. It's just part of the racetrack, but it's tough racing early in the going, the 38 and the 19 right there. I think everyone was trying to get to the bottom right there off 2. Really can't say it's anybody's fault right there. It's just tough racing.
I want to point out this guy is not a crasher. He has been 78 of these races without crashing out of one, Mike.
Thanks, Dick. Boy, it's going to be hard to get that car back in.
And, you know, part of that, I mean, is you are looking back. You know there's a wreck in front of you, and you are looking behind you in the mirror to see if, you know, you don't want to get run over from behind, but then you don't want to pile drive into the other guys either.
Kevin Harvick out of his car surveying the damage. Moments ago, Krista caught up with Tony Stewart.
Tony, obviously a lot of hard luck these last couple of weeks. This is very early in the race to have it happen again. Go ahead and give us your take what happened.
I take 100% responsibility. It's my fault for being even that we're anywhere close to Elliott. So, you know, if I'm within a half lap of him, I expect that to happen. So it's my fault. I mean, I'm the one that hit him. So when I hit him, it caused all the guys behind us to wreck. So it's my fault.
Is there any way to get your car back out there?
Oh, I'm sure it is. It'll look like a dune buggy when we get out there, but we'll get it out there. I got a great group of guys, and unfortunately, adversity is our motto here at Joe Gibbs Racing. So we'll be fine. We'll get it fixed, and we'll go out there and just ride around and be a fixture out there the rest of the day.
Elliott, what happened out there?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the replay yet, but I was trying to go under the 77 to pass him, and then the 38, I guess, was coming up on the inside of me, and we made it 3 wide, and I think he just got in the back of me a little bit. I just all of a sudden got loose. I hadn't seen the replay of it, though. So, I don't know. I was concentrating on 77, trying to give him plenty of room, and I didn't know Dave was going to make it 3 wide. Didn't know he was there. So, I just, I don't know. I have to look at it and see. A lot of good cars taken out this early in the race. Just not a good day, not the way we wanted to race here at the Best Buy 400.
Indeed. Wish you better luck next week.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Chevrolet being hauled off behind the wrecker. 9 cars in all involved. Most of them have gone to the garage. Hard at work in the garage area, trying to figure out the parts and pieces that will be needed to get these cars repaired and back on the racetrack. We're going to show you a replay from turn 2, and don't look at the crashing cars. Look at Denny Hamlin, the 11, Scott Riggs, the 66, the 29, Harvick coming in at speed, and then look at the 31, Jeff Burton, and the 8 of Mark Martin, and what they do. Comes Hamlin, and that group still at a pretty good clip. And look at Mark Martin.
He doesn't stop, but he slows down significantly in that Army car.
Well, he had much more time to react, perhaps, than that group in front.
And his spotter had much more time to react.
But let me just say this as a driver. When you are in the middle of 1 and 2 and you get back in the gas wide open, when you have to get around that corner pretty far before you can see what's up that narrow back straightaway. So you're coming with a really hard head of steam, and all of a sudden, these cars do not stop at 160 miles an hour on a dime.
And Mike, this early in the race, you see all these cars in the garage area. Now, again, we're under the red flag condition. All the crews can do is make a plan and preparation. But I would say, other than maybe the 19 car, you will probably see every one of these race cars try to get back out on that racetrack, because remember, every position you better yourself, especially at the back of the field, is 3 Sprint Cup Series points, and that's pretty critical and pretty important.
Well, if you look at being in or out of the top 35, right now it's 3 points.
Here are the drivers involved in the crash. You saw Casey Kane able to continue, along with Boyer, Menard, Labonte still on the racetrack, but most of these cars have gone to the garage area. Well, as we're halfway in the race to the chase for 2008, a good time to take a look back on NASCAR's safety adaptations and advances. Here's Jeff Hammond with today's State Farm Safety Report.
Safety is always a priority when it comes to NASCAR. From roof flaps to safer barriers, helmets and HANS devices, onboard fire extinguishers, all of these things, all of these features are very much important when it comes to NASCAR. But at Texas earlier this season during a qualifying session, Michael McDowell put all of this stuff and many, many more to the ultimate test. Wow, Michael, I mean, very impressive.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to think that I could walk away from a scary wreck like that. And I just want to thank all the people in NASCAR. This new car is just unbelievable how safe it is. And to see myself walk away is amazing.
Safest car I've ever seen in my entire career.
Absolutely, Jeff. I think we'll give NASCAR an A, as we have some report card grades to hand out today for the safety developments incorporated into the COT platform.
Oh, and look at this seat. That seat that Jeff Gordon was sitting in. It's carbon fiber. Hendrick Motorsports makes these seats. They sell for about $10,500. We used to pay $500 for a seat back in the day. But just look how he's in there, how secure he is. He's in a little cocoon, locked in there with the Hans device, those headrests, neck supports, everything about that car, seat included, is much safer than we've ever had before.
Think about it, Darrell. Probably the second hardest lick that we've witnessed this year was Jeff Gordon at Las Vegas. Michael McDowell did get into a safer barrier when he first hit the wall at Texas. When Jeff Gordon hit the wall at Vegas, there was no safer barrier in place on that inside wall.
You're just locked in so tightly that when that car starts tumbling and rolling, you're not in there flopping around. You're in there secure, tight.
22 of 400 laps, and we're under the red flag for a crash triggered by Elliott Sadler coming up out of turn number 2. Let's go down to the Hollywood Hotel for an AT&T race break.
With Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, 6 of the top 12 drivers in points coming into this race after 12 races involved in that wreck. So a major effect and a major scramble under red flag conditions. They get the track ready. Crews, drivers that can get their cars back out are working on that.
Yeah, they've got to be working on that because, again, you've talked about the fact that a lot of these teams are in the top 12, and that's what they want to do. They want to stay there. They've built a little bit of a cushion like a Tony Stewart. He doesn't want to fall all the way out of the top 12 by not working on his race car. So Greg Zipadelli and everybody with the Home Depot team, they're trying to figure out right now, what do we need to do? Can we get a frame straighter? What do we have to cut away from this race car and replace? The red flag condition at least allows these teams to get prepared to attack this problem. And I guarantee you right now, it's a lot like putting together a battle plan. These crews have got an idea of what they've got to do. Watch how quickly they're able to replace and repair these cars.
Our points leader not involved, but as you can see, guys like Dale Earnhardt Jr., Denny Hamlin, Clint Boyer, Kevin Harvick, who has a streak of running to the finish of every race that could be in jeopardy in his last 50 plus, Tony Stewart, and Casey Kane, who had moved into 12. All of those drivers involved, and as Tony said, it may look like a dune buggy if we can get the car back out there. Jeff, how much we looked at some of the replays. In fact, we'll take another look at what happened too, and you've heard explanations from some of the drivers. It's one of the great things we can do here, but the track conditions, which you and Larry talked about at the start of the race, so different from yesterday, and the concrete canyon, that narrow area, how much did that all contribute to what happened? Every
bit of it, because again, what you're looking at is a situation at the very start of the race. You got guys that are trying to give and take. I think right here, when he got up behind Jeremy Mayfield in that 40 car, he checked up a little bit and didn't realize the closing rate of the 38 car. You heard his spotter talking about where he was as far as regards to his quarter panel, and when he got into him, around the 19 went, and from that point on, I mean, this is what happens in that concrete canyon that we call the back straightaway. Everybody piles up. When you get a couple of cars turned sideways, basically the racetrack is blocked, and once Tony got into 19, well, the racetrack is basically blocked.
Yeah, let's listen. You talk about spotters and what they had to do. Let's listen to Elliott Sadler's spotter.
We're looking low, inside bumper, inside.
And you have to worry about what's in front already. 18 laps in, whatever, with the windshield looking the way that it was.
You're right.
And physically, all the drivers are okay, which is amazing. But I thought it was interesting what Denny Hamlin was saying about these cars not stopping as quickly, because he tried to hit the brakes right away and wasn't able to do that.
Well, again, you're still talking about a green racetrack. A racetrack's got probably a little bit of that fine dust on it. It doesn't want to get the grip coming up off the corner. A lot of times you have to take a few laps to get a racetrack kind of cleaned off. And then you got Brett Griffith, who's a 19 spotter, telling Elliott what was going on. But again, I think he was looking at the 40 car, really worried about that, and that kind of like contributed to all of this. And the end result is we got a lot of torn up race cars.
At least 11 cars involved. An AT&T race break under red flag conditions at Dover. Here are the top 4 car numbers picked by our viewers to win today's race.
DW, let's see if we can get a word with the third place car.
Kyle Busch, DW, you got a copy, buddy?
Got you, DW.
Buddy, you see what happened over there?
I didn't get to see it, but looks like a big mess. Sorry to see the JGR cars and Tony and Denny in that mess, and you know, Elliott Sadler and Junior. I'm sure those guys weren't expecting nothing like that today.
Buddy, is the track, has it got any grip in it, or is it dirty, or is that an issue?
I think it's just a product of what we're driving here. Just real slick and not a lot of grip out here. Cars don't adhere to the racetrack very well, so we'll just keep trying to work on it, keep trying to make it better, but it's real slick out here.
All right, bud, I'll let you go. This is your competition caution, so I'm sure you got work to do. Talk to you later.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Kyle Busch has run third for about half of the 18 or so laps we completed before the caution flag came out for Elliott Sadler's multi-car crash in turn 2. Krista.
Down here in the 88 garage stall, Dale Jr. he was out for a while surveying the damage. He has since climbed back in his car, the helmet on. When the red flag was lifted, the crew began working feverishly. The biggest issue they have down here, the front splitter. Jr. was wedged on the track. It was almost like he acted as a wedge. When he got hit from behind, his car got squashed underneath. So the front splitter is dangling on the race car. And here's the pit stops.
Pit road is open. Clint Boyer has left after repairs to his car. Casey Kane, Bill Elliott still there. Steve.
And Mike, just to follow up on what DW was talking to Kyle Busch about, when that caution came out prior to the red flag, Kyle Busch said, I have no grip, no forward bite, nothing in this race car right now. What they're going to do, Mike, is adjust with air pressures. Matt Yoakum.
Leader Greg Biffle at the top of your screen. His crew chief Greg Irwin warned him there's a lot of speedy dry near the exit of pit road. Be cautious when you leave. A lot of debate back and forth. His car a tick on the tight side, right side tires only. He's away. Johnson in the 48 was loose.
And I'm really not surprised to see these guys go with just 2 right side tires, because the left sides have been looking good. The right sides is what they really want to get a look at.
The red flag lifted, 23 laps complete in the Best Buy 400, benefiting student clubs for autism speeds. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. 36 cars on the lead lap, ready for our Claret and Clear to Drive restart. Live Claret and Clear indoors and out. Mike McDowell stayed on track to lead 1 lap during that caution period. Otherwise, it's been all Greg Biffle as we get set for green.
The top 7 cars from Greg Biffle all the way back to Dave Laney, and the 22 car went with 2 right side tires only. The first car with 4 tires, Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon in the 48 and 24.
And Johnson goes right to work on the outside. Dale Earnhardt Jr. back on track after repairs.
Yeah, and his car didn't get hit all that hard. He got driven up under another car. They fixed that splitter, so he's going.
Meanwhile, Chris Devoda is with Kevin Harvick.
That's right, Mike. And it looked like Kevin Harvick was going to be in the clear on that one, and then out of nowhere, were you kind of jolted up out of your seat in the race car?
Yeah, I thought I had the thing stopped, but our Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet was going the right direction, making up some ground, and I had it stopped there for that wreck and just got hit from the back. But they'll get it fixed. It's not going to be the prettiest thing, but it'll be fixed.
All right, his spirits are good. Kevin Harvick watching his crew continuing to work on the car, and the junkyard that used to be the Dover garage, work continues.
Thanks, Krista. Greg Biffle, still your leader. Kyle Busch. Here's Ryan Newman and Carl Edwards for 4th place.
These are 2 cars that went with just 2 right side tires. Not surprised to see this 99 car good. He was good in both those practices. Just going back to Kevin Harvick in the 2019, I just believe there's extra incentive to get that car back out on the racetrack. You heard Chris Myers talk about it. 56 races since he had a DNF, but here's even a bigger number. It's been 165 races since Kevin Harvick fell out of a race because of a wreck or an accident.
Obviously driving much more responsibly these days.
There's Richard Childress with the hammers, trying to beat out the sheet metal, and a little frustration as well.
Richard had 2 cars involved in that, as well as Clint Boyer. We did say that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is back out there 10 laps down right now in the 88 car.
Yeah, he's at the back of the field, but the car is running good. He's passing cars and moving back through the field, even though he's a number of laps down.
Casey Kane with a rent rear quarter panel after that crash. Bobby Labonte also back on track. Labonte lost 2 laps. Matt Kenseth moving forward. 13th position against A.J. Allmendinger.
And there's a guy that could really, really capitalize today and get himself back into the chase. He's had some good finishes lately, and this could be a big day for him.
Now, wait a minute. In the pre-race, you said you wasn't sure. You didn't know.
Well, I'm not, but I'm getting more. I got a better view now than I had earlier. It's just a little cloudy down in that ball at the time.
Well, let's see if Dick Berggren can move a few of those clouds away on the 17.
Again, Mike, the number 17 car took 4 tires on that last pit stop, and he had been motoring forward before the red flag came out, even without those 4 fresh tires on the car. It's a good car. Finished 3rd in the All-Star race, and last fall, this same car, exact same car, led the most laps here at Dover.
Kenseth has picked up 8 positions since the green flag.
And this is a Matt Kenseth type of race. He knows that you pretty much have to race the elements here for about 350 laps and then see what's left at the end.
He also knows, like all these other guys do, that just because we had that one wreck, and that doesn't mean we're not going to have any more.
Right.
This joint it'll reach out and grab you.
Ryan Vickers.
Miles will get you.
Vickers grabs 8th place from Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, and I just noticed, Larry, we're talking about Gordon's car. It's going backwards.
Yep. And they changed 4 tires on that last stop.
Either they made an adjustment it didn't like or something, but it doesn't look that good right now.
Martin Truex from Marietta, New Jersey in the 1 got his first Sprint Cup win here in this race last year. His dad, Martin Sr., his uncle Barney, both ex-modified drivers in the Northeast, and Busch North, Busch East Series drivers on hand this weekend to help Martin celebrate the anniversary of his first really big win.
Yeah, and I think he started pretty far back last year in this race, and we watched him methodically kind of work his way through the field and finally got the lead. He's making some passes now, but I don't know if this car is as good as one he had here last year.
We've got a few report cards to hand out at the end of the Fox semester, or first trimester of NASCAR racing in 2008. We're going to start with Roush Fenway Racing and give them their NASCAR on Fox report card. What kind of trimester you think they've had?
What do we say, a B?
We did say a B.
We did,
yes.
And they have cars in the chase. Carl Edwards has won a few races, and I think David Reagan has been a great surprise. And there's the way they are running today. So that's at least a B. You know, and here on exam day, they might just pull that up to a B+.
And we stress that grade is for the whole organization. Yeah, if we broke it down to drivers, you would probably have Carl Edwards in the 99 and would get an A or an A+ going to victory lane 3 times. But this is a grade for the entire organization.
And Jamie could help that grade a lot today if he should have a good finish here. And there's his teammate, Matt Kenseth. We know Matt likes this place.
This has been a good racetrack for Jamie McMurray in the 26 car overtime. Was in a position to win this thing 2 or 3 years ago. Late race caution kind of put him out of contention.
McMurray in the 26th is 10th. Kenseth 11th. Cubs Dodgers this week on Fox Saturday Baseball.
Look at those cars.
Red Sox. Cleveland, Detroit.
Look at those cars, how they look like they're just sliding sideways down into that corner. And that's how it really kind of feels behind the wheel. You're just kind of sliding that thing down into that banking.
You know, Darrell, what I'm starting to see here 40 laps into this race is they still are pretty much on the bottom in turn 1 and 2. But down in 3 and 4, I'm really starting to see some of the cars, maybe not the guys running at the very front, but they're starting to move up that racetrack and dominant like you were talking about a while ago.
Greg Biffle has led all but one of the 42 laps so far in his 3M Ford Fusion. You're watching NASCAR on Fox from Dover.
Yes. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager.
50 laps this time by. Greg Biffle's number 16 leads Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch by 2 seconds as we cross through 50 laps here at Dover. And the Roush-Keteers are coming. Let's look back in Dover history, brought to you by Ford. Drive One. Last fall here, the Roush Fenway Fords finished 1-2. Carl Edwards got his 3rd win of 2007, and his teammate Greg Biffle finished 2nd. Ford. Drive One. Matt Kenseth has climbed his way up to 9th spot and chasing Jeff Gordon. In fact, he just passed Jeff Gordon for 8th. Jamie McMurray is a car behind Gordon in 10th and also moving toward the front.
Yeah, good, everybody. 51 laps complete.
Everybody's starting to move up the racetrack, running higher and higher. That tells you that the cars aren't turning that well. If it won't turn in a little circle around the bottom, you go up top, make it a bigger circle. Make it help it turn a little bit.
Biffle getting in some heavy traffic. That's Michael McDowell just ahead. Trying to keep his Toyota to the bottom of the racetrack as the leader comes around.
Be patient now. Doing good, bud.
That's pretty good advice with a 2-second lead, especially guys that are fighting, trying to stay on the lead lap or at least be the first car lap down to get the free pass should the caution come out.
There's just some guys that word does not, they just don't understand what that means.
3rd place right here. Carl Edwards coming after Kurt Busch. Krista.
Mike, on that stop, Carl Edwards chose to take 2 tires to pick up some track position. They also made a track bar adjustment. The word he used before the stop of describing how his car was, compliant. He said, at this track, that's really all you can ask for.
And you know, I think you can get by with changing just 2 tires if you've got a good handling race car like Greg Biffle in the 16, like Carl Edwards. If you've got a bad handling car, 2 tires only is probably going to make it drive worse.
If your car is compliant, 2 tires will be okay.
You got it.
Now he just passed Kurt Busch. That puts Kurt back to 4th place in the Blue Deuce, Matt.
Mike, the 2 Penske cars running 4th and 5th. Kurt Busch made a 2-tire change the last time. The car was too free on entry and exit, hoping the 2 tires would help tighten that race car up. And he just gave up that spot to the 99 of Edwards.
Boy, you can see how hard it is to get down on the bottom and make a pass, even on somebody you're faster than. Holding that thing on the bottom of and accelerating out the corner is tough.
Darrell, once again, Jeff Burton, they continue to make believers out of this. We were concerned after qualifying the other day when he qualified 38th. Remember, he comes in here 2nd to points, but I've been watching his lap times. I've been watching him. You see there, he's gained 23 spots. He was just far enough behind that wreck he didn't get involved, and he just cracked the top 15 right now, about a half a lap behind leader Greg Biffle.
Yeah, and you know, brother Mike's not doing too bad either, Larry. He has found his favorite line right up next to the wall, running as high as you possibly can. He's found some grip up there, and he's been able to make some passes.
Well, we knew Michael, probably Dale Earnhardt Jr. would be some of the first cars to go to the top because they like running at the top. Right now, Michael is about 7 seconds in front of the leader, Greg Biffle, in the 16.
Leader Greg Biffle in a bit of traffic, trying to work past that blue car J.J. Yaley and the 9 of Casey Kane.
Now Casey's still on the lead lap. They got that car repaired. So right here, Casey is fighting with the 96 car to try to be the first car lap down. They're not just going to move over for Greg Biffle.
Yeah, and actually, if they could get that 9 car repaired a little bit better, you can see that right rear repair job hanging out there. That's got to be hurting him, son. They get that thing fixed up a little better, he might be all right.
Faster than every car in front of you except for the second place car. Nobody from behind.
Well, that's good news for Martin Truex, the defending winner of this race. Steve, he's just moved up to 11th place.
And Mike, he started 20th. He's got a similar problem to Kyle Busch. He's saying, I'm starting to bounce the front of the car, and the back end doesn't want to grip. His crew chief, Kevin Manion, says, it's all right, take it easy, save your equipment.
And you're going to hear that a lot. As the cars run on concrete, they chatter. The tires bump like a concrete highway. That flexes the tire more than it would on asphalt. It builds up more air pressure. The tire becomes to the driver feels like a basketball.
And I think as we get into this race, these crew chiefs, these teams, they will try to keep dropping the air pressure down a little more, a little more. You don't want to drop it down so much you hurt yourself on the short run.
Craig Biffle, the leader. Matt Kenseth just got past Jimmy Johnson for 6th place. Otherwise, the top 5 unchanged. This weekend, they dedicated Miles the Monster outside of Dover International Speedway. That's a full-size car, folks. You're looking at Tony Raines, who had a problem in turn 4 and stopped high up in the corner and drew the caution flag. If you recall what was it Denny Hamlin did at Richmond. So the 34 will be held by NASCAR and penalized for drawing the caution. Krista.
Carl Edwards says his car is neutral in the center. When he applies the gas, he gets just a little bit free. Dick?
And Kenseth's having a good day. He has gone all the way up to 6th from starting in the 21st. Steve.
4 tires for Kyle Busch, Dick. An air pressure adjustment, air out of the right front, and a wedge adjustment. Matt.
Chassis adjustment just being completed for leader Greg Biffle. The car had gone to the tight side. 2-tire change on the first stop. They will go 4 on this one. A little bit of oil dry near the exit of his stall. Great stop by the 16 crew.
Yeah, no problem for Biffle. He's first off pit road. And Casey Kane will get the free pass on this, the second caution flag of the day. Here's what happened to Tony Raines to bring out the caution.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Applebee's. It's a whole new neighborhood. By FedEx, every day is race day. By the people who make one-touch products, more power to you. And by Allstate, are you in good hands?
Getting ready for a restart here in Dover, Delaware. Riding along with Dale Jr.'s National Guard car, proud sponsor of the FLW Tour. Now you can play FLW Fantasy Fishing, and it's free to enter at fantasyfishing.com. Now let's explain the Tony Raines penalty. Raines missed the entrance to pit road. Had a problem, wanted to pit, couldn't. Stopped up in turn 4 instead of going around so the caution would come out. And what NASCAR did, as they did to Denny Hamlin at Richmond, was penalize him the amount of time he would have lost had he simply made that pit stop under green.
Yeah, depending on what the situation is, if it's a flat tire, you know, he's better off to take the penalty, because if he'd have tried to go all the way around under green, tore a fender off the car, he'd have been in worse shape. So it kind of works itself out.
We've got 30 cars on the lead lap. Sam Hornish in the 77 car, he had worked his way into the top 15 by virtue of changing just right side tires on that first caution. But on this pit stop, 2 fast exiting fell into the longest line.
Casey Kane now back on the lead lap as we're ready to go green with a clear to drive restart. Get clear, get back to feeling like yourself again. 71 laps complete. Greg Biffle is still the leader. He's led all but 1 lap so far. Ahead of the Busch brothers, Kyle and Kurt. Matt Kenseth 4th. The Killer Bees got Matt out. Carl Edwards 5th. Newman, Truex, McMurray, Johnson, and Burke in the top 10.
Pretty much everybody is on even ground with tires. Everybody changed 4 tires.
Joe Nemechek in trouble.
We are under caution, third caution.
That all started because he made a pass on Michael. Michael was up high. They got a little bit of like 3 wide exiting the corner. Joe got up high and got a little bit too loose getting off the corner. I don't believe Michael made any contact with him. Maybe he did. I didn't quite take a look at it.
Good bit of damage to the front end of Nemechek's car. Let's see how it happened.
Let's see what happens here.
Casey Mears, the 5 on the inside.
Michael Wiggle got up the racetrack.
Yeah, you see him go up the track. Now they're 3 wide here momentarily. Ooh, yeah, they did make contact. I think Joe thought Michael was up the hill a lot further than he was, and he tried to slide right up in front of him.
Watch from the right side of your screen. Nemechek cuts under Waltrip.
You know what? You talked about 3 points being important. Just outside the top 35 or inside. Michael Waltrip, the 55, is that guy just inside by 3 points.
Third caution flag of the day in Dover. Joe Nemechek's accident cleaned up. J.J. Yaley gets the free pass, and we're ready to restart. Greg Biffle has led all but one of 77 laps so far. Biffle brings him off turn 4. Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, green flag.
I like Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 88 car strategy. He's 10 laps down. He knows that's going to be hard to even make one of those up. He lagged back behind that big pack of wolves up there in front of him.
He's got a pretty decent car. The car's not that bad. He's a tenth or 2 off of the faster guys, but yeah, he's 10 laps down. He just wants to finish now. He becomes a buzzard now. You just fly around all day waiting to pick up the pieces.
He's counting on attrition.
Yeah.
Car high, almost to the wall and one. That was Montoya. Nice save.
I think he may have got a little help getting out into turn 1. I don't know exactly what happened. I think he might have got a nerf. Let's see if we can take a look at it.
Gilliland.
Man.
Oh, yeah.
Gilliland is just finding a lot of people in his way today.
But you know, Montoya, a lot like Jeff Burton, he started back there in the 35th position. He's made his way up to the top 20 with that 42 car.
Juan Montoya is not the only Formula One driver in town.
David Coulthard, I got to meet him in the garage area this morning. He was amazed at this place. He said, I've just never seen anything like it before.
And Scott Speed, who won the truck race on Friday.
You think those guys all call each other up and say, man, you ought to see this joint. I'll be right over.
The Canadian Grand Prix airs on Fox next Sunday. You'll see Formula One right here.
Carl Edwards just went by his teammate Matt Kenseth in the 17. It puts the 99 car up in the 4th spot now.
On this restart, Greg Biffle is not getting away from Kyle Busch.
Oh, they keep tuning on that 18 car and get her tightened up a little bit for him, get him some forward bite. He'll be around.
Carl Edwards for 3rd against Kurt Busch, former teammate.
See, I think that's another car, that 2 car that they keep working on. He'll be somebody to got to deal with all day too. And here comes a guy that probably got the best car out there right now. Really, is that 17 car.
Yeah, right now our top 5 is Roush Fenway versus the Busch brothers right now.
Matt just gets around here so good. He made his first Cup start here back in '97 or so. Relief drove for Bill Elliott, or actually drove Bill's car while Bill was away. And he's always run well here, Matt Kenseth.
And we talked about him being in 16th in points coming in here. He's 190 points out of 12th. You look at his last 2 seasons. In 2006, he came in here 2nd in the points. And last year, he came in here 3rd. And as mentioned, came in here 16th. But Dick Bergman looks like that car is going to move up in points if they can keep it together today.
Yeah, indeed. Matt Kenseth has just 1 top 5 so far this season, but he's having a terrific run today, Larry. And just a few moments ago, he told his crew that the car will turn on a dime and give you 9 cents change.
Gosh, that used to be worth something. Used to be worth real money.
But I think that's one of the most important elements here. This is a mile racetrack, but you spend 75% of the time in the corners turning. And if that car will turn and rotate, and stay down the racetrack. I know Darrell was talking earlier about these cars moving up the racetrack, but Darrell, as you and I talked earlier in the week, the car that wins the race will probably be the car that can run the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to move around early on, but then when the track really gets right, you want to hang that left wheel on that white line, baby.
Steve, Kyle Busch is keeping Greg Biffle firmly in his sights, but his rearview mirror is filling up fast with Carl Edwards.
And Mike, you would never know it by listening to Kyle Busch. He just told Steve Addington, I can't get off 2 at all. He said it's almost like I get airborne and then sideways.
Well, he does. That's what it looks like. Wow.
But what Steve Addington or any crew chief will have to be careful. Yeah, you want to give that car better forward bite. In other words, the rear wheels grip the racetrack when he accelerates, as long as you don't hurt the turning in the middle.
Well, that's what I like about this place. Like I said, if you're too tight to run that little circle around the bottom, just move up the hill a little bit and make the circle bigger.
Here comes Concrete Carl on the inside, and Kyle Busch just waves him by.
Well, you won't see that very often.
There'll be a time to race, Darrell.
Must be a long way to go yet.
Kyle Busch is racing like a man, though, that has a 94-point lead right now. He's the points leader.
His crew chief, Steve Addington, great crew chief, and this weekend, a great dad. Steve Burns passed along that Steve's daughter, Ashlyn, graduated high school in Boiling Springs, South Carolina, Friday night. And Friday, Steve was at the racetrack. She phoned her dad 4 times to say, Dad, it's okay. It's going to be all right. You don't need to be here. I know you're working. It's okay. J.D. Gibbs had the Gibbs plane fly Steve to Spartanburg. He drove to Boiling Springs, saw Ashlyn and the 411 other graduates get their diplomas. Then he drove to Charlotte, and Saturday morning hopped on the Gibbs plane to fly back. But at the end of the ceremony, there was Steve to surprise his daughter at one of the biggest moments of her young life.
But Mike, we all get caught up in the fact if we're not there, things won't work. Things won't go on. I remember a year ago, you guys let me off on Saturday to go back to Charlotte for my daughter Brooke graduation. There will be plenty of races, but we only have 1 or 2 children that graduate from high school.
Watching Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, and Matt Kenseth running 2-3-4. 2 seconds behind race leader Greg Biffle.
Just to update that crash back on lap 16, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kevin Harvick, they are back in the race. Elliott Sadler, Denny Hamlin officially out. Tony Stewart in the 20, Scott Riggs in the 66, they are in the garage area still making repairs on those cars.
Let's get out our trimester report card and see what it has to say about Joe Gibbs Racing. In the preseason, we predicted trouble. Kyle Busch coming over into that team, how would that set? A big change from Chevrolet to Toyota. I mean, that's a really big change. How'd they make out?
I think we've been surprised that they would be, they have an A based on Denny Hamlin winning, Kyle leading the points. Certainly Tony hadn't won yet, but he will. We know that. He's kind of a mid-season on kind of guy. So they've really stepped up with their program, switching to Toyota and really getting a lot out of Kyle. Great program.
Once again, those grades are for the entire organization. If it was just on Kyle Busch in 18, we can go ahead and double promote him, I think.
2 grades? Well, now, you say that about Kyle Busch, but don't laugh. He said that he hasn't talked to Toyota about going to test a Formula 1 car this fall.
Exactly.
On a weekend off. So talk about double promotion.
That's just for fun. I don't think he anticipates making any moves.
No time soon.
No. He'll try to work that in between his Craftsman truck, his Nationwide car, and a Cup car every now and then.
Probably on the same weekend.
Greg Biffle has led every lap but 1.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by the new AT&T Your World Delivered. By the Ford F-150, built Ford tough. By E-Trade. And by Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff. Just past the quarter pole, 400-mile race is over, and Greg Biffle, the pole sitter, has led most of the way. Carl Edwards running second. There were 10 cars involved back on lap 19 involved in a wreck. Half of the top 12 in points were involved coming in. including Dale Earnhardt Jr., who third in points coming in, has been able to return in this race. Denny Hamlin done for the day, came in fourth in points, part of Gibbs Racing. Clint Bowyer, who came in fifth, involved in that 10-car wreck, ignited by Elliott Sadler. Kevin Harvick, seventh in points, back out there racing. Tony Stewart came in eighth in points at the moment, still out of the race. And Casey Kane, who came in 12th, is back on the track, trying to finish up here in Dover. But the question for Roush Fenway, the top two cars, Jeff Hammond right now, and they haven't had a victory since April in Texas. Can they seal the deal here?
Well, right now they've definitely got the odds. We're going to take a look right here what Greg Biffle's been able to do so far here at Dover, but being followed very closely by Carl Edwards, his teammate. But more importantly, Matt Kenseth's in that 17 car. He is just basically, I think, running the kind of race that he wants to. But you got Jamie McMurray in the 26 car. You got 4 cars in the top 5, guys. And I mean, when you're doing that, the odds are kind of looking in your favor that you're going to be able to pull off a win today.
Thanks, Jeff. Greg Biffle now has a 0.7 of a second lead, but all the Roush-Keteers have pretty much come to the front. David Reagan toiling back at 15th, but otherwise the Roush cars are right there.
Yeah, and he's getting ready to put a lap on the 28th place car, Paul Menard. So he's starting to pick up the rear of the field now. Biffle is, and walk through the back of the field, putting a lot of guys a lap down here, Larry.
You just saw Jack Roush there, owner of Roush Fenway Racing, looking at David Reagan, his 5th car. David back in 15th position, about a half a lap down. But right now, the other Roush Fenway cars, those 4 cars, all in the top 5.
Matt Kenseth underneath Kevin Harvick. When's the last time you saw a car like Harvick's at one of these races?
Well, you know what, though? He gained 3 spots right away, Mike. When he went back out, he got past 2 or 3 cars that were down there with him.
And as Larry pointed out, he's trying to extend that streak that you see on the screen of running at the finish. But he has nothing to bump with. That's all radiator out front there.
That thing looks like it's been raced at Bowman Gray on Saturday night. Look at that baby.
He'll break a record in 2 races. Oh, by the way, his own record. And I need to make a correction. We said 165 races since he fell out because of an accident. It's actually been 96 races, not 165.
Well, it's still big.
Yes, it is.
Jeff Burton, Harvick's teammate, just passed the defending champion of this race, Martin Truex Jr., to move up into the 11th place.
Yeah, but this time last year in this race, that one car already assumed the lead and never let go of it. Today, the car's not bad, but they need to do some tuning on it.
See Nemechek there in the 78, back in the race after an accident that brought out the 3rd caution. Chevy drivers to watch include Jeff Burton in 11th. Teammates Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon currently 6th and 7th.
And you know, Mike and Larry, this is one of those racetracks when your cars maybe need something done to it, that sometimes the driver says, I don't know what to tell you to do to it. Because the car here with the tire buildup and the track's a little slick and sliding around, you're not really sure what kind of adjustment you want to make.
And Darrell, I know another curveball that has been thrown their way. We talked at the top of the show about the heat here, how hot it is. All of a sudden, it's become very cloudy. The sun is nowhere to be found. Obviously, that's much better for the drivers, but definitely this track is going through some transition because of that.
Well, it's a lot like Bristol. You are so focused and you got your hands so full that you don't really have time to think about what's going on with the car. You're just trying to hang on to it.
So a big cloud cover coming over the speedway, and the threat of isolated thunderstorms beginning about the 4 o'clock hour for the central Delaware area. You're riding with Jeff Gordon. He's in 7th place, Matt.
Breaking down the first 100 laps for Gordon. He was loose early the last run. He was sliding the nose. Steve Letarte made a significant wedge adjustment. That's really helped Gordon. He's been slowly climbing up from 11th. Now he runs in 7th.
He is 8 seconds off the lead right now.
But it does appear that that car may be a little bit different from what we normally see with this car, the 24. Looks like it might be getting better on the long run today.
And that has been their Achilles heel most of 2008.
Exactly.
But Jack Roush, the owner who certainly has the 1.5-mile tracks of NASCAR figured out with this COT platform, has 4 of the top 5 spots with his Roush Fenway Fords. Only Kyle Busch in 3rd in a Toyota breaks up the Roush juggernaut at the front of this field.
Yeah, Jamie McMurray, I mean, he's worked his way into 5th place. All the cars of Roush's are running good today. You know, Larry, another car that's basically a support car supported by Roush Fenway is a 28 car. We continue to talk about week in and week out how well Todd Parrott and Travis Quapple, they get this car running really good every week. He's sitting there running 14th right now, and that car is looking pretty racy today.
And I don't think we can stress enough. We were talking about this in the practice shows yesterday. They come in here, they qualify in the 12th position. Both of the practices yesterday, they were in the top 15. And as you look at that race car, they're doing it unsponsored. That is huge for Todd Parrott, Travis Quapple, and the guys over at Yates Racing, and the teammate David Gilliland in the 38. He continues to stay on the lead lap. Started 17th, he's running 17th right now.
There's a look at Gilliland. Might have been a help that Quapple ran the Craftsman truck race here on Friday. He finished 20th.
Well, if you look at the top 17 cars, 7 of them are basically Roush Fenway cars, or at least affiliated.
Boy, Carl Edwards got right there with Greg Biffle for the lead as they are trying to lap Jeremy Mayfield, who is in the number 40 this week for Dario Franchitti, who will return to that car next week at Pocono.
And Jeremy's working desperately to stay on the lead lap right now. He's back in the 24th position, so he's not just going to roll over to Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards.
You can keep that guy on the inside pinned down a little bit. It makes it mighty hard to pass, but you can see Jeremy kind of slid up the hill quite a bit there and opened the bottom up, but here he comes back fighting on the outside. Greg says, I'll just take that line away from you, my man, and that way I can get by you.
Carl's trying to get inside. You're clear.
Yeah, Greg was trying to use the lap cars as a pick. It's going to work out for right now, but he's going to have to go back down to the bottom of the racetrack if he wants to hold that 99 on.
Now, his teammate Carl Edwards has not yet led a lap today. Darrell, do you let him lead one?
I don't think you do right now. It's a little early, and even though there's just the 2 of them, but that 18 is this. You see 99 coming off. That orange car right behind him is 18. You can't play around too much right here, or Kyle will take the lead away from you.
The lap past Patrick Carpentier in the 10.
Casey Kane in the 9, he's still on the lead lap, but looks like he's going to have to relinquish that down the backstretch.
122 laps complete. Greg Biffle has led all but 1 in Dover.
I like the way this one's looking. Stay tuned for more NASCAR on Fox.
This is the final day for NASCAR on Fox in 2008, but you can still get all the Digger gear you'd like. Shirts, mugs, dynamite, and stuffed animals at foxsports.com or dwstore.com. Available now. Operators are standing.
That's where I'll be working for the next few months, dwstore.com.
I'll come over, pack a few boxes for you.
We'll be doing a little shipping.
Here comes smoke. Tony Stewart back out, and boy, that car doesn't look like it was in the pileup. It was in. Oh, yeah, it does. Never mind.
Tony's right at 113, 114 laps down right now. He'll be counting on attrition.
This is like a driver's worst nightmare. Yep. Wreck the car early, hang around. They finally get it fixed. You got to go out there and ride around.
And try to stay out of the way.
And this is a hard place to stay out of the way.
The plane can't leave for Eldora fast enough, can it?
Nope. Get that water truck filled up, boys. I'll be there Wednesday morning.
Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards haven't really battled for the lead, Darrell, but Carl has made no mistake of letting Greg Biffle know he is there and he will take the lead if given the opportunity or the permission.
Well, I don't know if it's that so much as it the fact that Kyle is right there just lurking behind them.
There he is.
When they race each other, he really closes in. So I think they're just kind of protecting first place right now.
You know, you see that yellow car right behind Kyle Busch, Sam Hornish in the 77. He just went a lap down, and I think a lot of that was because of that mistake of speeding on pit road, having to go to the tail end of the longest line. We've been under green ever since that, and now Sam is a lap down.
And in 22nd spot, I mean, he's a lap down, and he did have to start at the back of the field, and we've already noted that you can lap these cats getting around here pretty fast.
In Sam's race is to finish in front of the 55 car or the 66 car. That way he can go to Pocono locked in the top 35 and owner points, not have to worry about qualifying.
Now, with no disrespect, we're going to show you a bad day gone worser. Here's Kevin Harvick riding around. He's kind of a moving chicane in that he can't get up to speed. He has a lot of crash damage. Came into the pits a little bit ago. Watch the man working on the right front. Needs to go get a tool.
Needs some help.
Down comes the jack.
He's going to look around and tell Nick Terry, look, jack it back up. My foot's here. I can't go anywhere.
Dude. The jack man, I think he's playing with it.
There we go.
Now
it's okay. He never lost his composure. He was just looking for a pair of tin snips.
He'll get him later.
Instead of getting a flat foot.
And I know there's no such worse, or I was just kidding.
And Harvick's back out there, trying to keep that running at finish streak intact.
I said that because I can hear my wife now. Oh my gosh.
We've been under green since about lap 78, the third caution. We're getting within about 15 laps of what will be green flag pit stops, and I can't stress enough, they talked about it in the pre-race, we talked about it. This is one of the most treacherous pit roads to get home to under green.
It's one of those places you're a whole lot better off to come in too slow than you are to push it. Because if you look at the entrance when we get around to pit stops, one mistake and you're in big trouble down there.
You know, we talked about Tony Stewart that just went out on the racetrack about 113 laps down. We know he has fairly fresh tires, obviously, but his lap times are actually pretty good.
That leaves only 2 cars in the garage from the lap 26 or lap 19 crash. Elliott Sadler and Denny Hamlin done for the day. Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards holding the field at bay. Pit stops coming up soon.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Toyota. Moving forward.
Lap 145, no change in the top 5. Greg Biffle still leading. You've got a NASCAR question anytime, all year long. Anything pops into your mind, we've got the answer for you. Ask the Pros, built by the Home Depot at foxsports.com. All our experts and theirs are there at foxsports.com/askthepros. Carl Edwards has not been able to wrest the lead away from Greg Biffle. Meanwhile, pit stops begin under green. Here's Ryan Newman.
Yeah, and this is pretty common, Matt. We start to see the Dodges seem like they hit pit road first.
Newman and his teammate Busch in the 2, they both were talking about coming just a shade early. Newman's car, he's gone from both tight then back to the loose side. Just a touch loose on exit this last run. His teammate should be coming soon, as well as leader Greg Biffle, who peels off to make his way down pit road. Service complete on the 12.
David Gilliland is in, so is Robbie Gordon, Greg Biffle, Mark Martin, A.J. Allmendinger.
You know that guy that hadn't led a lap?
He's about to.
He's about to lead one now.
Carl Edwards, as Biffle surrenders the lead. Here's Matt.
We had shade back at lap 94, then the sun started to come out at 119, then came out totally at 139. Biffle says his car is really starting to shove the nose. They pull a tear off the front. Air pressure change as well. Steve?
Matt Martin Truex Jr. has said that the right rear is gone on that one car. The changes they made on the last stop, he said, did not work. It was an air pressure adjustment on the last stop. To Dick Berggren.
On the last pit stop, Matt Kenseth's crew picked him up 2 positions. This time, they're going to put 4 tires on it, and they're adjusting for a car that has become tight in the middle. Krista.
Carl Edwards' car has gotten a little tight in the middle. A 4-tire change and air pressure the call. They thought about making a wedge adjustment. Bob Osborne changed his mind. He said he doesn't want to overthink these changes. Matt.
Another one of the Roush Tears. Jimmy McMurray already in, calling for a pressure on the left side. The car was tight on that run. Krista?
The 31 is in. 4 tires and fuel for Jeff Burton, also a round out of the left rear. Steve.
And Kyle Busch on pit road said one word, I need, or actually that's 3, but grip. I need grip. Right side's on for the 18 of Kyle Busch. Left side as well. 4 tires on this green flag stop for Kyle Busch. Air pressure adjustment, the only adjustment they've made on the 18. Matt.
4-time winner Jeff Gordon in, as well as his teammate, the 48 Jimmie Johnson, making his way down pit road. Gordon, they've made big changes over the past 125 laps or so. They've really got the car dialed in more where he needs it. They were talking about a wedge change. Looks like they called that off. Meanwhile, his teammate, the car he owns, on pit road.
Johnson surrenders the lead to make his stop as we cycle through green flag pit stops. Everybody 4 Goodyear tires, 2 cans of Sunoco race fuel, and this should pretty well cycle us through. Travis Kvapil may rise to the board unless he comes to pit road.
Yeah, it was a pretty small window of laps that everyone elected to come to pit road and get 4 tires and fill the tank up with Sunoco race fuel. And I think it's because this is the longest spring run we've had. Probably getting a little nervous about those right side tires.
Got a car stop down here in turn 1. 84 car. This is not good.
AJ Allmendinger had, I believe he had just exited the pits. Something broke.
But I think the good news, though, we just talked about it. I think we had basically cycled through about everyone on their green flag stops. Here you see Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 88 car making his green flag stop.
And those were all cars that were laps down due to the crash at lap 19. Find out what happened to Allmendinger when we come back to the Best Buy 400, benefiting student clubs for Autism Speaks.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Sprint, proud sponsor of the 2008 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Speed, beautiful.
And we got a long day, guys. Let's just dig all day. Will be great. All clear. Looking low. Inside. Bumper. Inside.
Stay high.
Team's up against the wall. Yeah, I've been. God almighty.
Tough day for Elliott Sadler. Great expectations and a short day. Crashed right beneath the Best Buy bridge outside turn number 2. He is one of 2 drivers out of the race. Denny Hamlin, involved in the same accident, is the other. A lot of pit stops late under this caution.
Uh-oh. Not good.
It's like it's smoking back there. I believe they're having trouble with the fuel filler that they put the fuel in. The area they looks like they're working in right there.
Did you reckon they knocked it out of the quarter panel maybe?
Yeah, they definitely got a problem right there. You see Pat Tryson looking on right now. The field is over in turn 3 and 4.
Still under caution. They'll get 1 to go next time by. That's the signal from the officials on pit road.
I'm getting a confirmation from Matt Yoakum working that pit that is the problem. They've got a problem with where they put the fuel in. A couple of cars, this caution was a huge break. Paul Menard in the 15 was one of the only cars that had not made a pit stop, so he stays on the lead lap. You see him right there. Of course, he was involved in that accident. Another big break. Jimmie Johnson in the 48 car under his green flag stop, too fast exiting, so now he'll go to the tail end of the longest line.
Dale Jr.'s fans can ride along with him this fall in the big track at Alabama. First 70,000 people to sign up will have their name on his car. There's the website for more information. And all fans who sign up will have their names featured somewhere at the track.
That just shows you how, I mean, 70,000 people, Mike.
Go,
It just shows you how popular the dude is at Talladega. That should be a big deal.
I want to explain why that caution was a good thing. Because had we not had the caution with exiting and speeding under exiting, it would have been a pass through under green. Probably put him 1 to 2 laps down. Huge break for that 48 car.
Good point. Juan Pablo Montoya gets the free pass under this caution, the 4th one of the day. And during that exchange of green flag pit stops, 3 drivers got to lead a lap who had not earlier. Carl Edwards, Jimmie Johnson, and Kyle Busch. So counting Michael McDowell, who led under the first caution, And Greg Biffle, we've had 5 different leaders.
But now we only have 16 cars on the lead lap, too. So Jimmie Johnson still got to start at the back end.
Oh, yeah.
Way back.
Boy, it beat the alternative. And what's going on with the 2 car is there's a flange that's welded to the quarter panel that receptacle bolts to, that you put the fuel in. That flange has broken out of the quarter panel. So that's what they're fighting and trying to repair on that 2 car.
And the reason you want to fix it under caution is because you come down here for a green flag pit stop and you got to stick fuel in that thing. You don't want to work on it then.
Let's have a look at today's Toyota top performers. Kyle Busch has run in the top 3 all day long for Joe Gibbs Racing. He's the 2nd place car. Brian Vickers running in 7th. And a good qualifying run and a good day for Dave Blaney in the top 10. And the number 22 much of the day.
Ever since that race team, the 22, missed the race at Talladega, they have been on the mark. They have been solid since that day.
Tommy Baldwin says they've really just focused on this 22 car, and that's helped a lot too.
Ready for the restart. Greg Biffle will bring them down to complete 159 of 400 laps. Green flag.
We've got so many cars fighting back there trying to be the first car a lap down. We've got a ton of cars 1 lap down.
Trying to get their lap back are David Gilliland, David Reagan, Sam Hornish, Casey Mears, and Mark Martin.
All it takes is just one little slip up. Somebody gets sideways or get out of the gas off of either one of these corners, and you got a big mess.
Just hope it's somebody else's slip up. Vickers, McMurray for 6th.
Hope you're in front of it. Because we've already seen what happens when you're behind it.
Jeff Gordon back up into the top 5. He just cleared the Latin car of Reed Sorensen.
No pressure, bud. Just hit your mark.
And you know, Mike, I noticed on that 24 car, he was good on the long run. And this car looks good. It looks better than I think I've seen it look in the race probably for the last several weeks.
You know, we were just riding with Clint Boyer in the 07 car. Remember, he came in here 5th in the Sprint Cup Series points. Didn't have that good of a qualifying run, as we're going to see Carl Edwards take the 2nd position away from Kyle Busch in the 18. But Clint Boyer, he started back in the 26th position. He was involved in that accident. You can see the repair on the left rear quarter panel. He has now worked his way almost inside the top 10, back in 11th position. Good recovery for this team.
Dick Berggren.
And Clint Boyer has fought through some issues today, Mike Joy. Early on in this race, he virtually lost his brakes. On a pit stop, they pulled tape off the ducts that lead to the brakes, and that certainly has helped him a great deal.
Thanks, Dick. Jimmie Johnson trying to overcome that penalty that had him restart at the back of the pack, and he's had to work hard getting through race traffic here.
He's doing it, though, man. He is slicing and dicing.
48 pulls up on Kurt Busch, and a big pack of traffic just in front of them with Truex battling Montoya and Robbie Gordon.
Now,
those are all lead lap cars.
Montoya just had to get out of the throttle a bit. That backed everybody up a tad.
They've taken the car of A.J. Allmendinger to the garage area right now. That's another position that Dale Earnhardt Jr., we were just riding with him in the 88 car. He just went by Allmendinger, moves him up into the 37th spot.
Looks like that Allmendinger car might have lost a gearbox since he was stopped down there on the racetrack. Something had to happen.
Right after a pit stop.
Right after a pit stop. I think it might be a gearbox issue.
But Jimmie Johnson just cleared that group, including Kurt Busch, to move up in the running order. Greg Biffle continues to hold back this field. We met with him yesterday, spent some time with Greg. He went down a list of things that have kept him from winning races this year you just wouldn't believe.
We were 4 wide down in turn 3 and 4 for a minute.
Man, and Carpentier holds on to that car
I don't know
after
how.
being way up in the loose stuff 4 wide.
Oh, he's got a left rear flat.
Get to the bottom now. Get to the bottom.
That may have happened with all this contact. Watch his 40 car just absolutely ride him up the hill.
Jeremy Mayfield
in the 40. I think
that's what cut his tire.
Pat's got a flat tire, left rear.
This will be what Michael Waltrip, the 55 car, saw with this. That right there is what cut the tire down.
Exactly.
Got 5 years clear on.
40 car went in there, just used him for a banking board.
8 tires corner better than 4.
They do.
Sometimes.
You can see the left rear flat right there, Dick.
And it's very definitely flat, Larry. You see that Carpentier has a good run going. This guy has done a terrific job for coming into this series, essentially ice cold with these kinds of cars. He qualifies week after week after week.
On the right of your screen, the race for 8th, Ryan Newman gives way to Jeff Burton.
The 84 car, I'm getting a report, fuel pressure problems.
Oh.
Couldn't pick up the fuel.
And we have a new leader. This, the first green flag pass on the racetrack today. 2 Roush Fenway teammates, Carl Edwards taking the lead from Greg Biffle.
I think Carl's been sitting there. I think Carl's been sitting there kind of just biding his time. Carl's been a little bit better than Greg, but he hadn't really forced it.
Matt, anything wrong with Biffle?
A lap ago, Mikey came on the radio and said, oh man, and then the radio was silent. Now he just says he's got fuel pressure. Now he says he's got no voltage. Right now, concern definitely here in the 16 pit. 3rd straight week they have had a dominant car where something may take them out of a chance for victory.
I just wondered, you know, you just got to sit and wonder, just like I'm sure he does, what's going to happen to this thing today.
Yeah.
He has had some of the most bizarre things happen to his race car. Loose wheels, the float in the carburetor fell off.
The loose wheel problem was traced to a change in the wheel lug studs, and the new ones, it seems they stretched.
Yeah.
And the lugs loosened as a result. Good grief.
They seem like they have their arms around that, as we see Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car. He goes by Montoya in the 42. That's for 14th spot. But going back to the voltage, remember last week at Lowe's, we had the problem with the 18 car of Kyle Busch. We had a problem with Martin Truex Jr. in the 1. It was not a battery problem. It was actually not an alternator problem. On the 18 car, the post broke off the alternator. On the 1 car, just simply a wire broke in 2. I talked to Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson's crew chief, and he said, Larry, we're getting so much vibration with this car right now, it seems like, that it's causing problems like that post breaking off the alternator.
Have you ever noticed, though, when a guy gets been leading the race a little bit and he gets passed, all of a sudden he's got a lot of problems?
Sometimes.
What about it, Matt? What are they saying down there?
DW, Greg Irwin, his crew chief, is going down a list of things to tell Biffle to turn off inside the race car to try to save what they can with the battery. The only thing that Irwin has told them not to turn off is 1 bead blower on the right front. Everything else, from the driver aids to right on down the list, turning it off to try to save what they can.
Well, that tells you what's important. Yeah. Tells you what's important. Turn off your cool box, driver, but don't take care of that right front tire.
But there's a lot of blowers they run on these cars. Obviously, they have some blowers going to Greg. They have the cool box blowing to his helmet. They probably have a couple of blowers blowing to the front brakes. And they maybe have a blower on each front tire. It sounds like he's had him cut all those blowers off.
Pit stop, Irwin. Let's put a shield in the right front.
With the exception of the right front tire blower. And what Greg Biffle just told him now, I don't want to get too complicated, these cars are running on chassis stops, bump stops. What he's telling him, I want another shim in that right front chassis stop.
Yeah, he'll put 100,000 shim over there and raise it up. It may be bottoming out, or it may be getting over there too far, and he wants to put a little, he wants to lift that side up just a tad.
You heard the concern in Greg Biffle's voice. He has led almost the entire race so far, but it's Carl Edwards out front now.
You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Amp Energy. For energy, focus, and control, amp yourself. By Mobil 1, the world's leading synthetic motor oil. Put some NASCAR in your car with the One. Mobil 1. by Craftsman. Craftsman tools are the official tools of NASCAR. Craftsman at Sears. And by Taco Bell. Think outside the box.
185 laps complete in Dover, Delaware. Carl Edwards has led the last 16 laps from Greg Biffle. A change at second behind him. Kyle Busch has moved past Biffle and Bobby Labonte, who is a couple of laps down.
I think Kyle had to pick it up a little bit because Carl had checked out. And I think if he wants to stay in touch with the leader, he felt like he needed to get going too. So I don't know that Biffle has slowed down that much. I think these other two guys may have picked it up a notch.
Well, and this thing has that green flag run look about it. We've already cycled through one set of green flag stops a little early.
Now there are only 2 cars in the garage, Elliott Sadler and Denny Hamlin. That's a little surprising considering the severity of the 9-car crash at turn 2 back on lap 19. And that's where we'll find today's Allstate Good Hands driver. It's going to be Paul Menard in the number 15. He was too close to the crash to get slowed down. So watch his bright yellow car come through here, slicing to the left, bouncing off the wall, and scooting through. That took some good hands.
It did, and he's sitting there in 14th spot right now because of that great job.
Well, because of that great job, a great call by Doug Randolph as crew chief, left him out. They got the caution. They were back on the lead lap, and as you said, he's sitting there in the top 15 now.
Leading a charmed life today, get through that wreck and then catching that caution just right.
4 cautions so far. The big crash we just showed you. Tony Raines drew a caution on lap 68. Joe Nemechek lap 76. And A.J. Allmendinger stalled coming out of the pits at lap 154. We're just closing in on halfway. And it's been all Roush Fenway Forge the whole way. Between Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle, they have led all but 2 green flag laps.
And most of those others were through that cycle of green flag pit stops. And you talked about A.J. Allmendinger. Darrell mentioned fuel pressure issues. He's back out on the racetrack.
Krista.
You've heard the voice of Bob Osborne, Carl Edwards' crew chief, giving him his lap times. Talking with Bob this morning, he talked about the chemistry with this race team. Bob said, I know what Carl needs based on the tone of his voice. Earlier, they did have some talk about pit stops. Their pit stops have been a little off today. Bob said, don't worry, Carl. It's a lot of racing. You're going to be just fine.
And you know what? I think when you look at what happened here when Bob was taken away from Carl and Robbie Reiser stepped in for a little while and helped run that team. Now that Bob is back, Carl's running like he should. And guess who's running better, too? The 17 car. I think Robbie has got a little magic with Matt Kenseth like Bob has with Carl.
You know, the biggest thing I think that Robbie Reiser brings to the Roush Fenway organization is when there's a problem, he addresses it. He doesn't just kind of walk across it. The lug stud issue that this team was fighting at Darlington. All 5 race teams had problems at Darlington. Robbie Reiser went in there full-blown and said, look, guys, we have got to address this. And I think that's one of the things of many that Robbie Reiser has brought to the organization is by not being a specific crew chief for one team.
When things happen consistently, Larry, something keeps happening over and over again. There's a reason. It's not bad luck. It's not bad preparation. There's a reason.
Exactly. It's not just because.
Right now, Roush Fenway has 4 cars in the top 7, including this one, the 17 of Matt Kenseth, in 4th place, Dick.
Kenseth started in the 21st position, Mike, and they managed to get the car to 4th, both by passing cars and also by some very quick pit work. But this appears to be as far forward as they can get unless they can adjust the push that appears in the center of the turn out of the car. They have got to fix that for Matt Kenseth to pick up additional speed, and so far in their pit stops, they have not made forward progress on solving that problem.
Well, Dick, they're going to have to pick up substantial, I think, more speed if they want to keep up with their teammate Carl Edwards in that 99, because most everyone, including Kenton, running 25 70s and 80s. Carl Edwards' last lap 25 55.
Now right behind Kenseth, Jeff Gordon. Ever since the last round of pit stops, Gordon has been in the top 5 and holding his own, Matt.
His comment to Steve Letarte was, this thing has really come to life. It's still a little tight on the bottom, but when he tries to go back, you can get in the throttle, get in the gas. He has a lot more forward bite. He really wants to work on the push on exit that he does have. But boy, this four-time winner here at Dover is making headway. He's closing the gap, chasing down the 17 at Kenseth for fourth.
Look at the bright sun and those sharp shadows. The sun's been playing peekaboo with the clouds. Just the kind of weather that gives crew chiefs fits.
Let's look at the miles per hour here. When we talk about something happening and how come that guy didn't slow down or how come he didn't let off or why didn't he stop, look at the kind of speed. Jeff's coming off turn 2 right now. Turn 4. 140 miles an hour exiting the corner. You try to stop one of these 3,400-pound cars at weighs 3,400 pounds on a dime.
This is definitely one of the best performances I think that the 24 cars had in a while. They had a great finish at Lowe's last week. They finished 4th. Fuel strategy at the end, but they didn't run that well. They are running well here today.
Got to tell you, if Jeff's going to run good, this will be a real good place to do it. Seeing how DuPont's just up the street.
Just signed a 2-year extension with his sponsor. They're headquartered in Wilmington, Delaware.
I found that interesting too. You know, Jeff made a comment not long ago that 2010 was a pivotal year in his career. That's a 2-year deal.
We'll see. You know, Greg Biffle dominated.
It's gotten a little bit looser from those changes, but that didn't help it turning.
He's trying to figure this out. Now look behind him. 3 laps ago, he had fallen right into the clutches of J.J. Yaley and that crew, and now he's found something in that car and he sprinted away from them again, but he was dropping like a rock there for a few laps.
It sounds like, well, you see the car is not as...
Clear, buddy. Let me know for sure if you think it's on the splitter. Think about that. That's going to be a while. That's going to cost us a little bit of time in the pits.
All right, remember, a few laps ago, Greg Biffle asked for a little more shim in the right front chassis stop. What Greg Irwin is asking him now, do you feel like the splitter is hitting the racetrack, which may be why Greg is asking for that? And Greg Irwin saying, look, track position looks so important. Do we want to give up that much time on a pit stop?
Maybe even have rubber out of the left rear.
He wants to do something that would be easy. Pulling that rubber out of the left rear would be a whole lot easier, would take some load off that right front. Where they're going to put that shim, I think, is in the shock. They run these Packers in the shock. I don't know, Hammond. What do you think?
Well, DW, this is what we're talking about. Here is the Packer that you're referring to. A lot of times the shock comes down, and these guys basically run on this yellow piece of rubber. This is shock Packer. This is what the car is actually riding on. And what he's talking about is possibly taking a shim like this, putting it in here. Darrell, you said about 100 thousandths. It could be anything as far as 125 thousandths or more. But they're going to try to do is just basically pick this shock up, make it raise the race car up off the racetrack. Again, that may change also the way the car feels as far as the rate of this Packer, but all of this is designed to keep that car from hitting the splitter and maybe make it a little bit tighter. That's what they're working on, but as you talked about, they'll lose a lot of valuable time working in this area.
But that's just how temperamental this car is. We're talking about 100 thousandths.
Wow, a tenth of an inch.
A tenth of an inch. And that can make this car go from really good to really bad.
Travis Kvapil in 11th, trying to work his way through. Teammate for David Gilliland running nose to tail. We are just past halfway in Dover. Unscheduled pit stop for Clint Bowyer. Cut a tire down. Could not make it onto pit road. Had to come all the way around, so that will cost him a couple laps. He'd done such a great job of staying on the lead lap in the crash at lap 19, but missed the pit entrance there.
Yeah, I saw him slow down getting into 3. He was still going pretty fast, and he just couldn't get it on pit road.
Now, the one saving grace, of course, he did lose a lot of time because of missing pit road, but we're within about 12 to 15 laps of what will be green flag stops. Clint Bowyer, the 07, they needed to cycle all the way through, and they'll still be in good shape.
So that will leave 15 cars on the lead lap for the moment. Dale Jr.'s National Guard car is a sponsor of the FLW Tour. You can now play fantasy fishing. Guaranteed $1 million to the winner. It's free to enter at fantasyfishing.com. know, Jimmie Johnson for the past 15 laps has been trying everything but a bass lure to catch the back bumper of Ryan Newman. They haven't been too far apart. Jimmie would get close. Ryan would stretch it out a bit. Jimmie would get a little closer. Now he's got to battle Travis Kvapil here for the 11th spot.
I think what Jimmie's done is burn his tires up. I mean, he's really looking forward to a pit stop. He had to work so hard to get from the back of the pack back up here in contention. I think he used his stuff up on this run.
And the reason he was put at the back of the pack, he had been running in the top 5 to 8, but on the last green flag stop, he was too fast leaving pit road. But the fortunate thing, they got a caution. The penalty was tailing the longest line. He just can't get his way back up there, it seems like.
Well, Carl Edwards had a hard time getting past Juan Montoya, who was battling Paul Menard there at the tail end of the lead lap, trying to keep from going a lap down. And that allows Kyle Busch to get a little closer to the leader, Steve.
Mike all race, he's been fighting no grip, no forward fight. A few laps ago, he just said too tight.
Now he has to work his way past Montoya as Edwards clears.
No, there's something wrong with Carl's car. Carl is slowing down. Maybe it's time for a pit stop, but it looks like he slowed all of a sudden.
Nothing on the team radio, we're told.
Boy, it sure looked like something was wrong. Oh, you come off a 2 over there with very little speed.
63 laps on tires.
His lap time still look good.
Still good.
Him and Greg Biffle are about the 2 fastest cars out there. Well, Matt Kenseth is actually the fastest car. Matt's the only car really running in the 25-second bracket right now. The 07's problems continue as he'll be back on pit road.
I think what I saw off of that 99, Larry, I think he pedaled it off the corner where maybe got a little loose.
And you know, we've been talking about both of these cars throughout the day. Jeff Gordon in the 25-4 car, he qualified 7th. He's sitting there running in the 5th. But when I look back at that car behind him, Brian Vickers, what a great weekend so far for Brian Vickers. He qualified 6th, he's running 6th. Had a car that looked like was going to contend for the win. Last week at Lowe's, Mike, you were talking about lug nut problems. Remember, about halfway through the race, the left rear tire came off that car after a pit stop, hit the wall, ended his day. This team, Kevin Hamlin, I'm telling you, this could be one of the teams that's the closest to getting to victory lane for the first time this year.
You're looking back from Jeff Gordon's number 24 at Brian Vickers. Matt?
He was almost a second from overtaking 4th place Matt Kenseth. Now Gordon says they have killed the car on this run. It is just absolutely plowing. They're around 15 laps of their next scheduled stop. And looking back to that 83 Larry Mack, Brian Vickers, he says his car's still on the tight side. They're going to try to tweak it with an air pressure change on their next stop.
Well, I think these guys are going to have to get pretty aggressive with this next change because, one, it's cooling down, it's cloudy, and the racetrack is, you can see how black it's turning. A lot of rubber down on this racetrack. I think on these next pit stops, they're going to have to get pretty aggressive with their changes. You look at Ryan Newman, the 12, he'll be our indication, I think, of green flag stops. Remember, he was one of the first ones to come to pit road a while ago.
Clint Boyers had a long stop with the hood up, Dick.
Yeah, he came into this race, Mike, 50 points. He had finished all but 4 laps this year, but that long stop is because the right front shock absorber has broken completely out of the frame. They cannot get a new bolt in there, bolt the shock back in, and the right front corner of the splitter is broken. He had been involved in the crash earlier in the day. It's not been a fun time for him here at Dover.
This has not been a good day for our top 12 in points because add him to the list, that's 7 of our top 12 coming in, including that group on the backstretch on that first crash that has had problems today.
Boy, you can see them working feverishly under there trying to get another shock on the car. I just wonder if he thought he had a flat tire and that was what was going on. I bet it was.
13 cars now on the lead lap. Paul Menard, the first car 1 lap down, then Montoya and David Reagan. Travis Kvapil just passed Ryan Newman, and that puts the Yates number 28 into 10th place.
The car looks like it's handling really well. I haven't seen that car out of shape all day. been moving it kind of up through the field, or really looks good. That'd be something if he was to fool around and win a race, wouldn't it?
Yes, well, it would be. Jody Ridley did it.
Yeah.
Talk about drivers with small teams.
Yeah.
Talked about green flag stops. Ryan Newman, the 12 car. This will be the first of green flag stops, just like the last time.
There's one thing as we watch Carl going down into turn one, I've noticed about Carl. One thing when I said I thought something was wrong with his car, he is being absolutely about as cautious as anybody I've ever seen getting through traffic. Matt.
Newman, a three-time winner of this event, says absolutely zero grip. He was doing everything he could with his car, even changing up his line. You can see significant adjustment in the back. Air pressure change as well for Roy McCauley's number 12 of Newman. Steve?
Well, Matt, last year's winner, Martin Truex Jr. says he's snug coming off the turns. You see him hit pit road. He's also been complaining about his right rear tire. He says it feels like it is bouncing loose. The 4-tire change for Martin Truex Jr.
Now what I'm seeing the cars that were not that far from going a lap down come to pit road first. Their hopes would be that they'll get advantage of those fresh tires and stretch it out over leader Carl Edwards before he comes to pit road.
It's going to take more than tires to get it, stretch it out on Carl, I got to tell you.
Now, the last time we had green flag stops, once cars on the lead lap started coming in, everybody came in within about a 4-lap window. This time, not so much the case.
Here comes Brian Vickers in that 83 car. He's going to relinquish the 5th place and come to pit road for 4 tires and Sunoco race fuel.
It's kind of funny. The longer we go into the race, the more aggressive they get getting on pit road. Early on, everybody was getting off early and slowing down. Now they're kind of getting down there and locking them up and getting sideways.
231 laps complete. Edwards 1 second ahead of Kyle Busch. Vickers is in. Matt?
The sun definitely going behind the clouds. Vickers says his car just a little bit tight and a little bit loose, calling for a possible small chassis adjustment. You see the change made on both sides across the back of the 83 as they continue to inch ever closer to having one of those breakthrough days with this 83 team. Krista.
Here comes the race leader. This is an important stop. We talked about how the pit stops for the 99 have been off. This is crucial. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. Carl's car is tight in the center. They're going to loosen it up by raising that track bar. Also 4 tires for 99. Matt.
His teammate, the 26, Jamie McMurray in, going to work on the right side, the 40 in as well. But Jamie says the car, no big change on this stop. They are inching where they need to get this car feel-wise for McMurray. Meanwhile, the left side of your screen, stop going on the 48 of Johnson. He's away.
What did we say one of our keys? Be cautious about pit road. We just get the report that Brian Vickers in the 83 car, too fast exiting. It'll be a pass-through penalty. That will take him out of the equation, at least for now.
He's only 4 pits from the end of pit road, but was too fast on exit.
I think it's really all you got down there to know where the line ends is the orange cone, Matt.
Greg Biffle's in. The wedge adjustments in the back window. They're going to make a track bar change on this stop. Biffle still trying to get the car to be a little more on the free side to Steve on the 18.
Matt, Kyle Busch says he's just too tight. They've just made a chassis adjustment, 3/4 of a turn out of the left rear. They've also made air pressure adjustments. Dick.
Matt Kenseth in the pits as well. He has been running in the 4th position virtually that entire run. They are still trying to get the tight position out of that car that he experiences in the middle of the corner. Matt.
Consistently, Dick, the best running Hendrick car today has been the 24, Jeff Gordon, the 4-time winner here. He said over this last run, they had started to lose the handle of where he needed this 24 machine. Had started plowing. They just would not turn through the center of the corner. Steve Letarte looking at a number of different ideas, telling him also, though, to be very careful on exit. They have started to bust a number of people as far as speeding. Don't beat yourself today. They're having a very solid run. A little clean of the grill, and he's away. Krista?
A long day for Mark Martin is getting even longer. A left rear flat tire. They're coming in right now to make left side tire change. Mark has been 1 lap down. He said, let's not bring this car back to a racetrack anytime soon.
Now, Paul Menard is the leader, but he will give up the lead to come to pit road. So since his pit stall is before the start-finish line, he will not officially lead a lap. Carl Edwards will go back in front.
And you know, back to Brian Vickers on speeding. As you saw in the race analysis, the pit road speed is 35 miles per hour. The only reading that the driver has is a tack reading that he set under the pace laps. NASCAR gives these guys a 5 miles per hour buffer on top of that. So that means he was more than 5 miles per hour faster than 35 miles per hour in the 83
But Larry, when I look down at the end of pit road, in my mind, it's not that well defined. Look, here's a line, and there's the outline right there. And look how far out here, and all you got to go by is that cone right there. You can then, and here's the end of pit road. Most of the time a driver gets the end of pit road, he says, I'm out of the pits, I can go now.
Yep.
So I think that it's not real defined in my mind.
Now let's correct, Kyle Busch is the leader, not Carl Edwards. Kyle is 1.2 seconds ahead of Carl. And so this will be the first time that anybody but Greg Biffle or Carl Edwards has led more than one consecutive green flag lap today. Far from over here in Dover.
I didn't see that twist coming. Stay tuned for more NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by the Chevy Memorial Day Sale.
Fifth caution of the day, debris in turn number 2 puts us under the caution flag. Now the pits were open this time but there were very few takers.
Am I a little surprised? We had 4 cars. Jimmy Johnson, the 48 here, Travis Kvapil, the 28, Martin Truex Jr., the 1, and Ryan Newman, the 12, were the only cars that came. That green flag stop that they made put them close to being a one-stop race. These 4 cars for sure can make it on one more stop.
We're under caution. Time for an AT&T race break. Let's go to the Hollywood Hotel.
Thanks, Mike. 6 leaders, 10 different lead changes. Greg Biffle leading 164 laps. Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, glad to have you with us. Our final NASCAR on Fox broadcast for this year, but from Dover to Daytona. And we'll look forward in a moment, but let's go back. We weren't even 20 miles into this race, Jeff.
Just getting started.
We had officially now a 10-car wreck, and half of the top 12 drivers in points were involved. Ignited here, as you see Elliott Sadler and David Gilliland.
Yeah, they got together right there off of turn 2. But this is what happened after. Instead of going to the bottom of the racetrack, here comes Tony Stewart. He hits Elliott, and then basically everybody starts hitting everybody. Casey Kane, Denny Hamlin, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kevin Harvick, Bill Elliott. They're all involved in this wreck, and it really kind of set the stage for today. And a lot of guys in the top 12 were definitely damaged.
Sadler and Hamlin, the only ones who have not returned. And now that we're more than halfway officially in this race at Dover, how does it shake up the points? We had some guys moving up, moving back. Tony Stewart slipped back to 11th, losing 3 spots, but also some people gaining, guys like Greg Biffle.
Well, the thing is right now, Greg Biffle comes in here. He was 11th as far as that, you might say, the lineup cutoff is concerned. He's been able to move forward all the way up to the 5th position. Now, he's not really gained a lot as far as Kyle Busch is concerned, but the big thing is he's been able to put a lot of points between he and the guy in 12th position. That's what's important, along with his teammate Matt Kenseth. We've been talking about Kenny Rowley. Can he make a charge here to get back in time for the chase? Well, a day like today, he's been able to basically cut that deficit in half between he and the guy in 12th position, and that's what's important, Chris.
Kenseth running 4th. He came in 16th in points. Remember in 2005, he was 23rd after a dozen races. He made the chase that year, putting on the charge now. Want to get an exclusive look inside the world of Richard Childress Racing? Jeff Burton of the 31 Chevrolet. You can with AT&T. Using cellular video on your AT&T handset, you can access all the inside RCR content. This has been an AT&T race break. Mike, Darrell, Larry.
And another tough break for Brian Vickers. Once again, he is too fast exiting pit road. And for somebody trying to get back on the lead lap, you sure don't want to restart tail end of the longest line, as he and Jeremy Mayfield will have to do for the same penalty.
Because honestly, he would have been up there on the front of the inside of the front row there and could have maybe got that lap back.
I just believe that that line down there is not distinct enough for me. It's outside there. Look, as he goes down through here, he goes across. It's not very plain to me. It's fairly faint. All you got is that cone, and the driver's not necessarily looking to his right.
And you see where the cone is. Brian Vickers' pit is only right there, so he doesn't have far to go to get to that line. 2 segments. Looks like we're ready for a Claret & Clear to drive restart. Live Claret & Clear, indoors and out. Kyle Busch leading Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle, and Matt Kenseth. 3 Roush Coutiers. Fords lined up behind that Joe Gibbs Toyota, and Busch gets a big jump.
Man, I'll say.
Bye-bye.
You know how Darrell and I firmly believe that Kyle Busch got the lead from Carl Edwards in that 99. But under those green flag stops, we've been watching him, how great he was getting to pit road under green flag conditions.
Been very, very aggressive. I just hope that doesn't bite him before the day is over with.
Hey, fellas, Digger wants us to crank it up one time.
Well, whatever Digger wants, Digger gets.
You got it.
Just here, Larry, Mike, how you have to play with the throttle. You don't just mat the thing, and when you do, listen to the wheel spin you get sometimes. Things will rev up. Hear that?
I was well up on the straightaway. I tell you, the guy on the move, we're looking at him right now, that 48 car, remember, they came to pit road and got those 4 fresh tires. He has been picking them up, laying them down. He got 2 right there.
I think that last little one was when he had contact with Dave Blaney, and it turned Burton's car a bit, and it broke traction.
Yeah, well, they get loose up off the corner, and that's when you get all that rear wheel spin, and that's hard to drive when the rear wheel's off the ground.
Darrell, I know I said you can't be afraid to gamble at the end of the race, but we still got over 150 laps to go. I am very surprised more cars didn't come to pit road and get those 4 fresh tires. It's a great time to do it.
Maybe Krista knows.
Well, I don't know if I can answer for everyone, but I can tell you what Carl Edwards was thinking. He actually wanted to come, but Bob Osborne said, I think the track will tighten up. Carl was complaining that his car was loose in the center, especially when compressed. Bob said, I think we got to keep our track position. There's still a lot of racing to do. The track is going to tighten up.
Well, we still have 147 laps to go, and now we're back in full sunshine once again.
That part just keeps changing and probably will change a couple of more times over the next 147 laps.
But it's not as critical on a concrete track like this as it would be asphalt. It doesn't change dramatically like we can see on an asphalt racetrack.
I don't think Kyle Busch cares.
He doesn't know what kind of track he's on. He just knows he got to go fast.
Get the checkered flag first.
Sunshine shade doesn't much seem to matter.
They all look the same to him. And he likes what he sees right now.
You know, we were talking about him testing a Formula One car. I don't know if we mentioned. Big weekend for him next weekend. He's going to do triple duty. Oh, by the way, at 3 different racetracks. Truck Series at Texas on Friday night, Nashville on Saturday night in the Nationwide Series, and Pocono on Sunday. And he'll be back and forth from Pocono every day.
This pack we just saw is interesting because Paul Menard in the 15 is trying so hard to stay in the free pass position. Here comes Casey Mears, who's 2 down. There's only 3 cars 1 lap down. Menard, David Reagan, and Brian Vickers. So Menard's been racing really hard, racing everybody hard on the lead lap, trying to make sure that he stays in position to get the free pass, get back on the lead lap. He's mindful of the fact that his teammate got his first ever Cup win right here last year, and he'd love to have that chance.
And back to Kyle, you know, if he wants to run a lot of races, that's okay with me, as long as they're companion. I don't like all that moving around across country, flying here, flying there. Man, focus on the Cup. That's what's important.
Especially when you're the points leader.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously got a great shot at winning this thing this year.
Busch leaps off the corner, comes around to lead another lap. 2:58 in the book. 1:42 to go. Let's go back and have a look at the 10th place car. That's Dave Blaney for Bill Davis Racing. Yellow number 22. Let's get down to his pit, Steve.
Well, Mike, Dave Blaney has 13 starts here at Dover. He's never finished in the top 10, but give them a lot of credit. They've been in or around the top 10 all day. Blaney, one of the guys to stop on lap 236. Right now, he says his car is loose, but he said it feels pretty.
Well, and again, we're hearing a lot of these guys complain about their cars pushing and not turning. I know Tommy Ball and Dave Blaney, they want to make sure, they'd love to have it maybe a little more secure, but they don't want to get it to where it's not turning.
Yeah, but being loose here can get you in big trouble, man, because you hear this wheel spin that we're listening to every now and then. That thing's a little bit loose. That's when they come around with you.
Right behind Blaney, how about Ryan Newman, Matt?
Having a stout run. Newman currently in the 11th position. Now he made a return visit to pit road. Larry, you documented very well the issues that his teammate Kurt Busch had with the dry brake area. That's why they brought Newman on the caution back down, just to make sure nothing was amiss with their team. They might spoil the solid top 10 run that they're having right now, just outside in 11th.
A lot easier to look at it under caution than have to wait to under green.
And Larry, I've never spun out with my front wheel spinning, I can tell you. But I have spun out with my back wheel spinning.
Look at this battle. Jamie McMurray, 26, trying to hold off the one of Truex. That's for 7th. And Jeff Burton, the 31, is part of that.
That 15 car has really bottled them up right there. They have been, everybody's trying every way they can to get around him. He's running decent, just good enough to hold you up.
But going back to Martin Truex Jr. in that one car right there, that's another one of the teams that elected to come to pit road and not only get 4 tires, but I watched them, Mike. They got very aggressive with a change under the left rear. I get the feeling that maybe they moved the track bar or Panhard bar on the left rear, which you can't do to adjust it through the rear window. You have to physically change it under the left rear.
Meanwhile, Kyle Busch leads Carl Edwards by 1.2 seconds. Greg Biffle is now teamed up with Edwards. He's right there.
He's caught back up with Carl. I think maybe if they were able to fix that chassis problem that Greg was having, that may get him back in the ball game.
Matt, any further word from Biffle?
The only comment that he's really made, Mike, is the fact that right before the caution that we are crashing loose, but now it's settled down a little bit. And the spotter, Joel Emmons, says, by the way, just to let you know, the same problem that you have, our teammate, the 99, is having it as well. And he says, what do you mean? No battery, no alternator, or he's loose? Oh, no, he's just loose.
Behind them is Matt Kenseth, so Roush Fenway Ford's 2-3-4. Joe Gibbs Toyota up front. Kyle Busch in the lead at Dover.
Kyle Busch, wild thing. Rowdy Busch. He's like a bulldog.
The hot number is 18.
I don't think I've ever watched anybody that will make me say wow more than that kid in that 18 car.
Wild thing wins. You make everything groovy.
He has proven himself this year.
In NASCAR's 3 National Touring Series, Kyle Busch has led over 1,700 laps this season. Today, he has led 40 circuits, and he's out in front of Carl Edwards by a second. Carl's teammates Greg Biffle and Matt Kenseth 2nd and 3rd, with Jamie McMurray 7th behind Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson.
And the thing that's impressive to me, another thing, he wins in a truck with Richie Waters in that group. He goes over and he wins in a nationwide car, driving for Gibbs some, but also for Braun some, another group. He just, whatever he gets in, whoever's working on it, he wins.
Riding with Matt Kenseth, 3 seconds back in 4th place. Let's have a look at the Sprint Cup point standings as they stand right at the moment. Kyle Busch would be 146 ahead of Jeff Burton. The big change would be Greg Biffle up 6 spots from where he started the day, and Denny Hamlin, who was the first car out of the race, down 5 spots from where he started.
But you know, in the pre-race show we were talking about who was in, who was out. The thing about it is, even when these guys have trouble, nobody back here at 13, 14, 15, other than Kenseth, seems to be making a run at them. Brian Vickers just shot himself in the foot twice today. So nobody seems to be able to, even when the other guys up front have trouble, are able to close the gap because they don't run good enough.
But you know, Mike, that 146-point lead, that's flirting, as he's flirting with a lot of lap cars right now.
Oh, man.
That's flirting with almost a full race lead over second place. But remember, 13 races after today, they'll re-rack them. All of them will have equal points with the exception of 10 bonus points per win added to your tally.
And just like what we saw there with him then, and we say, oh, why would you do that? And what is he thinking? When you know, when you're under control, you got the kind of talent he has. To him, this is not a gamble. This is not a risk.
Why'd he do that? Because he can.
There's a hole there. It's kind of like when you watch Tiger Woods hit a golf shot. How does he do that?
Well, he doesn't do it with two guys running 170 miles an hour either side of him. But he does it well.
Yeah, he has a lot of time to think about it when he hits a golf ball.
Now here's what happened to Kyle this weekend. In the Craftsman Truck Series race, he started third, led 96 laps, ran away from the field, had transmission trouble, came back, finished 27th. And Saturday, started third, led 68 laps in the nationwide race, ran into trouble, finished 28th.
Okay, well, since you don't think Tiger Woods is such a good example, how about Big Brown?
Well, how about that? Okay.
Yeah. Big Brown is just in a class of his own.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, Darrell, I mean, looking at Kyle Busch, we talk about the 3 series. Coming into this weekend, he has won 9 races in all 3 series, and before the weekend, led almost 1,500 laps between the 3 series. Now it's well over that.
That's quite a statistic right there.
That's amazing.
Whoa, jeez.
That's nothing for him. That's nothing for him.
And you know he's just sitting there laughing and having a great time, other than the fact that, I mean, he has learned how to deal with this car and not having the aero downforce front or rear that last year's car had. Sure doesn't mean he likes it. He complains about it a lot on the radio. I've got no front grip. I've got no rear grip. I don't have any drive off. I don't have any stick going in. He's leading by a second.
I remember we went to in '81 where we went to the small downsized cars.
Right.
We were it's like a replay. I hear the same things about this car we said about those cars then.
Yes, and my point is, think of how he's going to be if he ever finds his comfort zone with this car.
I think in our pre-race, I heard a little quick blurb of one of your comments about that car in 1981.
How jumpy it was, yeah.
Carl Edwards is 1 second back, trying to run down and catch Kyle Busch. Krista?
Mike, Larry, Darrell, you are exactly right. Kyle is doing a fantastic job. Kyle Busch, the leader, but I've got news for him. Carl's a-coming. 10 laps ago, Carl just got on the radio. Remember, we talked about him being loose? He told his crew chief, Bob Osborne, 10 laps ago, the car is just now starting to get neutral.
I think what makes the difference, and I don't care whether Carl is leading, Greg Biffle's leading, or Kyle, is when you catch traffic. It's so hard to get underneath a guy and make the pass. Watch how much trouble he's going to have. I mean, this 15 car has been hard for everybody to get around.
Well, I think that's part of this. Pass him when you can catch him. If he thinks Carl Edwards is going to be closing on him, you're right, Darrell. He's not going to dance around and wait on the lap traffic to get out of the way. He's going to go after him, around him, or through him.
He got by the 15 pretty easily because the 15 gave him some room. But if you get to racing somebody and they pin you down, it's hard to get past.
And Krista's right. Carl is coming. Let's go back to Jeff Gordon at 5th place and Matt.
Steve Letarte in the 2014, they've been road warriors. 7 of the last 8 weeks, they've been testing. But Steve Letarte is probably someone here at Dover who wants to get home more than any other. The reason Sunday night, his 2-year-old daughter, Ashlyn, while playing, cracked her tibia. She was diagnosed Monday, but only after Steve had already left for a test session at Pocono. He's been gone all week. Testing Tuesday and Wednesday at Pocono. Thursday they had a NASCAR day event and then racing here at the Monster Mile throughout the weekend. They cannot wait to load up and get home back to Charlotte so he can see his young daughter.
Yeah, there's no question that would be on Steve Letarte's mind, but right now as he's sitting there running solidly in the top 5, he's pretty much been a top 5 to 10 car here all weekend with the trouble that all of our guys in the top 12 in points, if he can maintain, this would be a great points day. He came in here 10th. As they run now, he is 7th in the Sprint Cup Series points.
112 laps to go in the Best Buy 400, benefiting Student Clubs for Autism Speaks.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is delivered by UPS, the official express delivery company of NASCAR.
Carl Edwards has been eating into Kyle Busch's lead. It's now just 0.4 of a second or less. It can measure it in car lengths right now as Edwards closes in. Got a NASCAR question? Anytime, anything you want to know, just go to Ask the Pros, built by the Home Depot at foxsports.com. Our experts and the teams are there to answer your questions 24/7. foxsports.com/askthepros.
See, I think this is where we'll see the maturity of Kyle. If he doesn't run the car so hard trying to stay ahead of Carl, Carl's a little better than you are right now. So if he catches you, let him go.
Let's go to the leaders pit. Steve.
And Mike, his spotter, Jeff Dickerson, for Kyle Busch, just said that. He said if the 99 gets to you, there's still a long way to go. Don't worry about it. Kyle said, my race car is still tight. I need some more speed in the center of the corner.
And we're down to right at 100 laps to go, and we're about 12 to 15 laps from what could possibly be the last opportunity to adjust on these cars. We feel like these teams need to go to about lap 313 to 315 to make it to the end, especially those cars that did not pit under the last caution.
Kevin Harvick waves the leaders by on the inside.
I just think, Larry, you know this as a crew chief. Don't make the wrong adjustment here with one stop to go. Don't loosen me up to where I can't go anywhere.
Well, two things I think about making the wrong adjustment. Look at the pit road speeding penalties we've had today. That would absolutely end your day now.
Let's have a look at 5th, 6th, and on back. The cars of Rick Hendrick and Hendrick Motorsports in their day. Jeff Gordon has been their standard bearer today. And let's have a look at the Hendrick report card for 2008. First trimester. That's where the cars are running right now. A B.
Yeah, and I think Rick would agree with that. Rick Hendrick would agree with that. They've got one win. Last year they won over half the races. And so, I mean, Dale Jr. is very consistent, has been, but they have one win, and I'm sure that's not satisfactory for him.
And that might put him into the C's, but having 3 cars in the top 12 for the chase ensures them of a B for this trimester.
And like Darrell pointed out, this guy right here, this team, they kept that grade up there as well, because remember, they have been in the top 3 in points for a number of weeks. They've not been to victory lane, but they've been right there solid week in and week out. I know they're just trying to get through this day. This car right here, along with 9 others, were involved in a huge crash on the back straightaway on lap 16.
Junebo's going to have to help me out now. I said he was going to win 6 races.
Well, he won the Bud Shootout. He won the Gatorade Duel.
Yeah. I don't think that's what Darrell had in mind in the beginning.
But I don't think it's what Junior had in mind.
Upon further review.
I like the way you're thinking, though, because that's what I've been telling my friends that bring that up to me occasionally. Well, we got 2 wins already.
Dale Jr. is 12 laps down after damage repair to his car. Also multiple laps back. Whoa, here we go again. Man, right through the middle. And a mirror full of Carl Edwards for the race leader, Kyle Busch.
Now, what will be interesting, Darrell has pointed out that he felt like that Kyle Busch has really pushed the envelope on getting on the pit road under green. If we have that green flag stop, he wants to make sure he does not step across the edge of that envelope. But back to Dale Earnhardt Jr., he has gained 6 points because of the problems that Clint Boyer has had and A.J. Allmendinger. He's jumped in front of those 2 guys in the running order.
Yeah, the fellow with the longest, toughest day has been Tony Stewart, who came back out of the garage after 115 laps. And right now, Stewart is where it will be tough to improve his position without 1 or 2 cars falling out.
But when we looked at that accident over and over again, I don't know how they got that thing back out on the racetrack. The right front wheel was knocked off of it. And there he is out there. He's not running bad, really.
94 laps to go. There's only 3 positions he could potentially gain in this race, and those would require Riggs, Harvick, and Allmendinger going to the garage.
But you know what? Larry knows this. I do too. Don't ever quit.
No.
You fix the car, you go back. If we can make it roll and we can go back out and run some competitive speed, stay out of trouble, that's what you do.
Well, you know what Dick May always said. Dick May was a journeyman driver from Watertown, New York, a frequent substitute or relief driver for Richard Petty and many others. And Dick knew he didn't have a good car of his own, a car that was going to win the race. I said, have you got a chance? He says, I've always got a chance. I said, and what would that be? He says, 42 guys can wreck on the first lap, and I drive right around them.
Yeah. Well, that's the driver mentality. The drivers are normally the most optimistic guys in the world. I know guys that have never won a race, but all they talk about is how much first place pays. You believe how much first place pays?
Good point. Coverage continues next Sunday from Pocono on TNT. They will have the next 6 races of the 2008 Sprint Cup Series, and then beginning with the Brickyard, coverage transitions to ESPN and ABC. All the chase races will be on ABC, so we invite you to continue to follow the sport on NASCAR's TV partners. We'll be back in Daytona in the spring as usual.
You know, I was just watching that battle there between Jamie McMurray and the 26 Martin Truex Jr. and one. That's a battle for 7. McMurray has been so solid all day long in that 26 car, qualified 5th. He's really been in the top 10 for most of the day, and he is working on his best finish of 2008. He only has 1 top 10 finish, and that was an 8th place at Martinsville, so he's working to improve that.
I think the car right behind him that won this race last year, though, I think that shows how this car has evolved in a very short period of time. That was a car that absolutely dominated this race, the 1 car of Truex last year, and today he's hanging in there in 8th place, but not the kind of car that he had here last year.
Jeff, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Jeff, you need to help me out here. You know, we got to start calculating about this fuel mileage. We had a lot of cars that didn't pit that last caution, but if they run another 5 or 6 laps, they're probably going to be able to make it to the end.
Yeah, Larry, that's what I've been kind of calculating. To me, you need to get down with about 80 to go to feel pretty good about going the distance. But with that being said, you know, you've talked about it, Darrell's talked about it, how tricky it is to get on pit road. So far, Kyle Busch has nailed those every green flag opportunity he's got on pit road. He's been very smooth about it and made up a lot of time. On the other hand, I think Carl Edwards has been a little bit iffy, and more importantly, his crew has not been quite as sharp on and off pit roads. I don't think Carl could afford, you know, to make a mistake. I mean, right now this is one of those critical periods as we're watching the 2, you know, basically the all-time winning drivers of 2008 season, Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards. I mean, they basically kind of like ruled the roost so far, but who's going to make a mistake today? Carl's trying to put a lot of pressure on Kyle. Will he do it? And as a crew chief, I would really like to force Kyle Busch on pit road first.
Well, you know, Jeff, when you've been running lap after lap after lap like these guys are, driving hard as you can go, fatigue, I'm not saying you're worn out, but your concentration level has gone down a little bit, and that being aggressive, missing that gear or jamming that thing in gear and getting a wheel hop, come on pit road, those are the things you have to think about as a driver.
But as a driver right now, Darrell, I would at least say this much. Carl Edwards is probably the guy that's the best in shape. We also heard early this week that Kyle Busch has got a pretty aggressive workout schedule himself. Plus, he does a lot of racing. So this young guy against another young guy, I don't think these 2 guys are feeling that. But we want to bet you, if I remember how you used to be, is come here, buddy. I've got your number today if you're Carl Edwards. I'm going to put kind of pressure on you to make you make a mistake.
They're getting ready on pit road. One more pit stop at least in the offing here to complete the 400 lap distance, and it may come in about 5 laps or more from right now. Lap 19, the race changed in an instant with NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. Followed the race instantly. Here is our Sprint Mobile monster moment, and it was a big one. When NASCAR news happens fast, get all the latest news now, not later, with Sprint.
Well, here, a couple of those Roush Fenway cars, they are hit pit road together. Krista.
On the last stop, a track bar adjustment made Carl too loose. They don't want it to happen again, so they're going to go back. You saw 1.5 rounds on that track bar. That will tighten him up. He did not want to take any grip away on this run. Matt.
Greg Biffle, the dominant car, said it's just so tough to hang on early to Steve.
Joe Gibbs just patted all these guys on the back. Tire changers, Nick Odell and Jake Seminara go to work. Jeff Bender, the jack man, he drops the jack. He'll come around to the driver's side. One pump, it's up, left side tires on. Just air pressure for Kyle Busch. Good stuff, Dick.
Matt Kenseth comes in as the leader of this event. He has had a lengthy dialogue with crew chief Chip Bolin as to what to do on this pit stop. The car has been better than it has been all day long. In right now, this is one of the very best crews in all of Big League stock car racing. They're good for a quick one, Matt Yoakum.
Chassis adjustment of the stop already completed for the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. He said the car was loose from the entry all the way through the corner.
Larry, I think Jeff Gordon's team has made a huge mistake here. As soon as those Roush Fenway cars hit pit road, they brought Kyle Busch in. They brought everybody else in. Did they leave Jeff Gordon out there too long running slower lap times than these fellows on new tires?
I almost think one lap is too much here. I know the 5 points is important, but Matt, that may have been waiting a little too long, Matt.
And Gordon comes to a stop and told Steve Letarte that my car is really turning well. The biggest issue I have is need a little more help on the exit of the corner. You can see they've got the wedge wrench. They've already made the adjustment in the back of the car. He's full of Sunoco racing fuel. He's away, Steve.
Chassis adjustment for the 22. Matt Dave Blaney trying to bring home a top 10 run. He said, put the car back the way it was, and it gotten loose.
Martin Truex has also made a stop. Jamie McMurray's in, and Ryan Newman assumes the lead for the first time today.
Now, I think what Roy McCauley and Ryan Newman doing right now, what they're banking on is a caution. They can run a little further because they pitted later on, Matt.
And the Roush car is having a very solid day. So is the same for Jamie Mack in the 26. Tires going on, air pressure change for McMurray. And he's finally away. 14.9 seconds.
Larry, you're right. On that last caution flag, Ryan Newman came in on the last lap of caution and topped off the tank. The Penske cars have not been getting as good a gas mileage as some of the other teams, so that was a good predictive move, and now it allows him to stay out a little longer.
As long as he's out there, we only have 8 cars on the lead lap right now. That's exactly what Roy McCauley is banking on, a caution, and then he would be in good shape. May not be a race-winning move, but it would be a good move to get a top 10.
Newman may be in this time. Let's see if he peels off. Nope. At least one more lap.
You know, we've been talking about over and over again about Kyle Busch getting on pit road and how much time he made up, Larry. He's now coming in off of turn 4, and the 99 car is coming off of turn 4 now. He's at the line now. They were together when they pitted. There goes the 99 now. He's got a 3-second lead.
A little over 3 seconds. Yeah,
and he did that all getting on pit road, and a great pit stop.
See Travis Kvapil in the 28 car. Daryl, you and I were watching him. Of the cars that almost missed pit road coming in, Travis Kvapil, he just barely got in before that commitment come.
"75 laps to go. Everyone can make it from here." So without a caution, this would be the last pit stop of the day. Mark Martin gets a fill up. So does David Gilliland.
Now, because of all these cars making pit stop, Ryan Newman, he's still out there. We only have 6 cars on the lead lap. I'm sure what Roy McCauley's going to do as crew chief, stretch it just as far as he possibly can, banking on the caution.
4 tires and fuel, 3 rounds up on the track bar. Execute the plan, guys.
Sounds like he'll be to pit road this time to fill that thing up with Sunoco race fuel. 4 tires. Sounds like that car is definitely tight. They're going to raise the track bar 3 rounds on the right rear.
And the reason you can be a little more aggressive on this last stop here, getting on pit road, is because a lot of cars have been down on there. They got it cleaned off. Not a lot of debris or dirt down there. That helps a lot too.
I think we've got 1 car. He's going to make it to pit road. Looks like David Rudiman in the 44 car maybe tried to stretch it too far, but he just coasted on the pit road now. Matt.
And Larry Mackey documented the game plan. You can see the deck lid go up. About 25-30 laps ago, I saw one crew member from the 12 go walking up pit road with a spare dry brake. Remember the issues that his teammate, Kurt Busch, had earlier on the day. 18, 21 seconds going on. Stop for Ryan Newman.
Well, see, this makes sense why they tried to stretch it. They needed a caution to try to fix this as well.
The last thing you need when you're trying to chase down the leader is somebody in your way. And when they are, you usually have something for them. Not necessarily a bumper, but I think if you watch Carl Edwards here, you'll see he's getting pretty frustrated with the cat in front of him.
There's Kyle Busch slip sliding around your leader. Edwards trying to run him down.
Watch this. Dude, what are you thinking?
Who among us has not made that move?
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by non-drowsy Claritin Allergy Products. By the Home Depot, NASCAR's Home Improvement Warehouse. By Enterprise Rent-A-Car, we'll pick you up. And by Subway, where Tony Stewart goes to fuel up. Subway, race hard, eat fresh.
64 laps complete. Kyle Busch has led 95 of them, bringing his laps led in NASCAR's 3 top series in this short season so far up to around 1,800.
And right now he's got the field covered by easily a 10th, most of the time 2 tenths.
Can Carl Edwards catch him? We listened in on Carl and team.
Can we make it to the end, Bob? At 10-4. Go get that 18, buddy.
Notice no response. Yeah, right.
Yeah, we feel strongly, based on when all those green flag stops came, that everyone can make it to the end here, as we've got now 62 laps to go.
Well, on a short run, Kyle Busch's car has been better much of the day. On a long run, Carl Edwards gets to a point where he's much quicker than Kyle Busch, but as they get to the end of the fuel load, and they will if we stay green, Kyle's lap times come right back down to him. So it's going to be an interesting wait and see, Steve.
Well, Mike, the crew just told Kyle Busch that they're fine on gas. Good to go to the end was the quote. And before the stop, remember, Kyle said, I'm still tight in the center. I need more speed there. Well, they have fixed the center. They're much better there. He's just a little bit loose off the corners now.
Thanks, Steve. Good battle here. Now, this is for 8th place. Jamie McMurray, Jeff Burton trying to get to the lucky dog position for Jeff Burton for an important reason.
Yeah, they're running in the top 10, but the problem is they're a lap down. But when you look at the 31 car, Jeff Burton, 2nd points. Yeah, he's finished in the top 15 every race this year, but he's been on the lead lap every single race too at the finish. And right now he's 1 lap down. So this is a battle, as you mentioned, Mike, for the free pass should we get a caution.
Just to refresh your memory, we had 13 cars, only had 13 cars on the lead lap at the end of the race last year. I know we've only got 6 there or 7 there now, but this place, when it goes green like this, you just get a lot of cars a lap down.
That's Carl Edwards right behind them, the 99 car running in 2nd. So this is not the greatest situation for Carl Edwards with these 2 guys battling for the free pass.
Jeff Burton started 38th today. He started 6 races in the 30s this season, but his worst finish in those 6 races, 13th. He's in 9th place right now.
And they've obviously got a plan to get from the back to the front without getting in any trouble.
With the green flag stop, Kyle Busch now 5 seconds up on Carl Edwards with 57 laps to go.
I'm driving to win today, baby. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR on Fox welcomes you back to Dover. Just under 50 miles to go, and we're seeing something spectacular here at Jeff Hammond. Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, they combined to win half the races so far this year. This is the 13th race of the season. Talk about the good guy, the smiley guy. Talk about the bad hat, the villain role, which Kyle seems to enjoy. These two, they may be building a rivalry, something we'll watch not only the rest of this season, but for a long time in NASCAR.
Yeah, we maybe wind up watching, the beginning of basically a Yarborough Petty type rivalry, or a Pearson Petty, Allison, Walter. This is the kind of thing I think NASCAR's been looking for, is a good guy versus a bad guy. And again, Kyle Busch, he seemed like he's really enjoying that, leading the race right now, basically pulling away from Carl Edwards, who's really struggling, working his way through traffic to be able to lay chase to Kyle Busch. Before that caution, before that green flag stop, he was right on his back bumper. But right now, he's got a lot of work to do. He expects to be able to win this race.
And it's the trendy thing to do, to go green, and that appears to be what we're headed for the finish of this race. Your cutaway car below our Hollywood Hotel, all the parts and pieces. We've always appreciated you pointing things out, helping us understand the race a little bit more.
Yeah, we want to tell everybody from Ford Drive One, thank you very much for this 2008 season. Impact, Whitehall, Mechanics Wear, 3M, they all have had such a huge, important role in this season, and we cannot say thank you enough, and especially one more time for the folks at Ford for what they've done for us this year.
Let's head back upstairs for what we hope will be a dramatic finish here at the Monster Mile. Darian, Larry, and Mike.
Thanks, Chris. 46 laps to go here in Dover. Kyle Busch is pulling away from Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth, and the rest of this field. Now, we did get word on Jeff Gordon that the reason they waited so long to pit Gordon was they were trying to gain the 5 points for leading a lap before making their pit stop. That's why they left him out so long after Edwards, Biffle, and Busch had hit pit road. But Larry, in the final rundown, staying out doesn't look like it's going to hurt him as bad as we might have thought at the time.
Even if he had pitted with Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards, I don't think the 24 car was in touch close enough to those 3 Roush cars of Edwards, Biffle, Kenseth, or certainly Kyle Busch. So really, they made a gain out of it by getting those 5 points. I think this is going to be the best that they're going to be able to finish if we stay green, is in the 5th spot, which is a great run, because last week it was a terrible run, a great finish. This week it can be a good run and a good finish. And these guys, their battle will not go away, the 31 and the 26, but we stress the reason that is a really heated battle is Greg Biffle in the 16 car running 3rd, 26-31. They're banking on a caution. That's the battle for the first car a lap down.
While we're watching Jeff Burton, let's get out our NASCAR on Fox trimester report card for Richard Childress Racing in their season.
Jeff Burton's had a pretty good go of it, certainly, and Bowyer had all 3 of those cars. That 1, 2, 3 finish they had at Bristol, that was pretty impressive. And they're right there, I think, with Hendrick Motorsports. They got a win. They got some guys running pretty good.
All 3 cars in the chase right now, in the top 12. So that's the reason that grade would be there. Certainly they know. Jeff Burton's even said, yeah, I'm second in the points. I'm not running as good as I was a year ago, but they're solid. Right now, if they do not finish on the lead lap, this would be the first time this year that 31 car has not.
So give Childress Racing a B at this trimester. Every class has a valedictorian and a salutatorian. 2 students with the highest grade point average, and certainly Kyle Busch would lead that list with the season he's had. Certainly a breakthrough season for him. And David Ragan, what a wonderful surprise. Talk about a breakout year for the driver of the Roush number 6.
Yeah, no question. Sitting there right now, he would be just outside the top 12 in points after that great run at Darlington. Actually moved in the top 12. And we do stress, we know sometimes parents do not agree with grades that's given to their children. If you don't agree, we'll be happy to have a parent-teacher conference. Oh, by the way, Speed Weeks of 2009. Just call us for an appointment.
And Kyle Busch, with in my mind, he gets an A+ with a few demerits.
And our last individual grade for honors in a specific category. We have had so much fun on speed watching Patrick Carpentier transition to stock cars and try to make the field every week. Wow.
And he has done that every time he had an opportunity to qualify. When we didn't have weather intervene, the guy has made the show, with the exception of Daytona, which is a totally different format for the 500.
And he's doing something today that he needs to do every week if he possibly can. Log laps. Learn these racetracks. We know he's good enough to get it in the race. Now learn how to race these racetracks.
And oftentimes Carpentier has qualified not on his first lap on a track where the first lap is good, but he's gritted it up and done it on the second lap, which makes his accomplishment all that much more exciting.
And that could be pretty smart on his part. You know, get that first one in, get comfortable, and then mat it on the second one. He's been doing a good job of that.
Kyle Busch now 6.5 seconds up on Carl Edwards. Greg Biffle and the rest of the field in Dover with 36 to go.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Lowe's. For all your home improvement needs, Lowe's, let's build something together. By Toyota, moving forward. By State Farm, where great coverage meets great rates like a good neighbor. State Farm is there. And by Sprint, proud sponsor of the 2008 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Speed is beautiful.
29 laps to go in Dover. Carl Edwards has knocked 1 second out of Kyle Busch's lead because Kyle Busch has had a devil of a time getting past Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah. And even when he got past him, I almost think he probably regretted it to some degree. Kyle gets a run under him right here. He gets alongside Jimmy, and he's able to make the pass. And Jimmy says, hey, Kyle, remember me? We used to work together.
Now Martin Truex Jr. in the one car, the winner from here a year ago, he's fighting for his life to stay on the lead lap. He's in the 6th spot. So if he puts Martin Truex Jr. down a lap, we will have 5 cars on the lead lap. And Jeff Gordon in the 24 is not that far out in front of him.
Truex's best finish this year was 5th. And that came at Richmond. This has been a good battle.
It really has. I've been watching these guys. They've been going at it hard, man.
Blaney just got past Jamie McMurray for 9th place.
Now Vickers in the 83 car is actually 2 laps down, a lot due to that pit road speeding penalty under green.
Yeah, he's going to really hate what happened to him today because his car has been obviously as good as these guys. He could have really had a good top 10 today.
But to have that happen under green and still be in the top 15, that's still not a bad day.
And to have it happen twice.
Two spit road, yeah, that's right, twice.
Good news, one of those tracks that was under caution, but tail end the longest line under that one.
I want to take a second to say thank you to a very important group of folks responsible for Fox Sports' success in 2008, and that's you, the viewers. Our average rating for NASCAR on Fox this season has showed a healthy increase over 2007. We thank you for your continued support of NASCAR and of NASCAR on Fox. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to bring you the race each week. Two fellows who have helped give you the pictures of all these laps on Fox. Nelson Hastings, #1 cameraman, has covered his 1,000,000th lap. Now that's second on the all-time list to Chuck Mills, who was at ESPN for many years and then did the Fox and NBC package. Hey Nelson, happy birthday. 5-0.
He can't. Man, he can't talk to you. Right now. He can't talk to you right now.
Your tally light's not on. He doesn't have time to look. And Brad Hutton, GOAT, who does all the NASCAR on Fox races. He's the handheld man up on the block at Barrett Jackson on Speed as well. Leads all handheld cameramen. Brad turns 50 this month as well. Way to go.
But you know, Mike, to add to that, all the men and women
that lady right
make
there.
this possible.
I tell you what, she is a real trooper, man. What a job she does.
She's carrying Larry's boarding pass and Artie's car keys.
I just hope she's got my car keys too. But yeah, you hear the 9 announcers every week, but the reason we feel like we have had a great season is because of the 125 to 150 men and women. A lot of them, they don't even go home from one race to the other. They weathered the wind in Las Vegas, the rain in Fontana, the snow in Atlanta. That's the reason NASCAR on Fox works, because they give us the great pictures to talk about.
They've all been going around the TV compound this morning, getting their yearbook signed. And our thanks to all of them, especially these fellows who have been out in the wind and the rain and the snow. Okay, sometimes, occasionally undercover, but not very often.
Like I said last night, Mike, takes an entire team.
And boy, do we have a great team.
Look at our man there, huh?
Drano. Chevy, all these fellows, great job.
Yep.
And thank you for great pictures. for us to talk about. There's Pony.
All these camera guys, they all got nicknames. Kind of cool nicknames too.
You know, we've received a lot of emails, good and bad, about our conversation about this guy right here, Kyle Busch in the 18 car. To me, I know in our first 13 races this year, he's brought something back to our sport that was missing. Emotion. He doesn't mind showing it. And you know what? In his mind, nothing exists but winning. Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, second's okay, but this kid wants to win. To me, he's brought something back to our sport that has made it exciting to talk about this year.
I think he proves that when you have something to prove, and I believe he does, getting released, kind of moved out of Hendrick Motorsports last year, over here with Joe Gibbs, two of the best car owners in the sport, I might say, Gibbs and Hendrick. And here he is, and he isn't giving up right now. He isn't laying down. He isn't saying, I got a big lead, let me just cruise. He's still right up on the wheel, giving it all he's got, and he wheel right to the checkered flag.
Romping and stomping.
I'm just trying to win this race.
The trophy is in the shape of Miles the Monster, as sits outside the front straightaway here.
Now is Larry Boy, is when the crew chiefs are biting their fingernails thinking,
in front of me here, 15 to go.
I sure hope there isn't a caution, because I don't want to have to make this final call.
No, the thing about it, Darrell, it wouldn't be a real complicated call right now with 6 cars on the lead lap, but you're right. If I'm the 18, I want to see this thing go for 15 more laps, caution free. If I'm the 99, 16, 17, 24, 1, give me a caution, give me one more shot at it.
I can't, as a driver, I got to tell you, I always have flashbacks. And if I'm Kyle and I'm riding along here comfortable, who was doing that last week?
Tony.
His teammate.
Yeah.
So you know it's never over until that checkered flag falls.
"14 laps from the checkered flag. The rain will hold away. It's scheduled here for later this evening. We've had sun, shade, peekaboo with the clouds, all kinds of different weather. But we've only had 3 drivers dominate this race. Greg Biffle, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch.
You know, the most embarrassing thing in racing is when your PR people, everybody heads the victory circle, and they're getting ready for the victory celebration, and you don't make it. That's about as if you got to pull all that stuff out of victory circle and get somebody else's in. So nobody moves until the checkered flag falls.
Buddy Baker, who was a great driver, won a bunch of super speedway races, and has always been one of the most quotable people in the sport, said this about Kyle Busch: the great thing about him is that his wallet hasn't gotten between his gas pedal and the accelerator yet.
Nope. He proves that every lap that he makes, whether it's in this Sprint Cup Series car, Nationwide Series car, or NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series truck.
And right now he's cruising with a 5.7 second lead over second place Carl Edwards. And Carl has stretched it out 5 seconds over Greg Biffle, and so on and so on.
And in the last 10 laps, only 2 of Carl's laps have been quicker than Kyle, and only by hundredths of a second.
Well, Kyle is coming into some heavy traffic, but he should have plenty of gap here to work through there without taking any chances.
So a bittersweet day.
10 over here. 10 to go.
Bittersweet day for Joe Gibbs Racing. Denny Hamlin, first car out. Tony Stewart will finish 41st, both involved in the lap 19 crash, but Kyle Busch out front going away.
I'm sure he doesn't want to hear it, but if I were his spotter, I'd be saying, dude, we got a 5 second lead. You know, let's be cautious here. But I haven't heard that. Maybe they're telling him.
Pick and choose your battles here, as we're going to have 9 laps to go when you get back around here. We just saw Juan Pablo Montoya a second ago in that 42 car. Not the run they were looking for, but they should be very proud of that. Right now he's sitting there in the 12th spot after starting back in the 35th position.
So Kyle Busch up by 5.5 seconds with 9 to go. Dick Berggren.
Well, Mike, you and I have been around this sport for a very long time, and I have never, and I know you haven't either, seen anything like Kyle Busch. This young kid, doesn't matter what he drives, doesn't matter who he drives it for, he's winning poles, leading laps, winning races. People are going to talk about this year and Kyle Busch for decades to come.
And what a difference a year makes, Dick. Last year with Hendrick Motorsports, Kyle was, Well, you could call him arrogant or spoiled or any of a whole lot of things. And this year, the transition to Joe Gibbs Racing has been great for Joe Gibbs and great for Kyle.
7 to go, 8 down here.
And you know, I think 13 races ago, there were several big questions, mainly surrounding Dale Earnhardt Jr. moving to Hendrick Motorsports. But I think the two big questions: why would Joe Gibbs leave General Motors after winning all those races and all those championships? And why would he take a driver that Rick Hendrick had pretty much said, you're not going to be with my organization? You know what? I don't think they are no longer questions. I think we have those answers.
I think Joe Gibbs is a coach, and coaches usually got a pretty good eye for talent. And he figures, I'm a coach. If he's got the talent, I can coach him into being successful.
5 to go.
And too, Steve, maybe it was just the right time for Kyle Busch to mature as a driver and as a person.
Like I said, he's motivated.
And Mike, his dad, Tom, said that to us earlier this year in Phoenix, Arizona. Daryl, to answer your question about the spotter, they're just telling him how many laps to go and giving him intervals. Kyle's not saying a word inside that race car.
We've got 5 laps to go. It'll be 4 when he gets back to the stripe. There's still quite a bit of traffic up in front of him. One of those cars being Martin Truex Jr. that's trying to stay the last car on the lead lap, running in 6th right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are going to go home and say, how'd you do? So, well, I finished a lap down, but I was 6.
Right. Big stack up there. Carl Edwards catching Jimmy Johnson. And that is the distance you saw from Edwards to the leader. 5.8 seconds. 3 to go.
And then it's about that much distance back to Greg Biffle in the 16 car, who's in 3rd, and then about that much distance again back to his teammate Matt Kenseth, who was in the 4th spot.
There you go. Seriously, we're just chilling now. We're just chilling.
Right here is where I would ride to the finish.
Yeah.
There's too much traffic in front of him to try to press by any of these guys. You're not going anywhere. You get by the 6, and you got to get by the 1.
2, buddy.
Right at home, right here.
2 to go.
Just riding that rocking chair.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's going to do just that.
Room to stop if something happens.
That boy.
Yep.
Give me some room. Get in that rocking chair.
He had a chance to power by and get up and under David Reagan and chose not to. Now Reagan looks like he's going to give him plenty of room. And it'll be the white flag.
Up top.
I still feel like he's pushing the envelope too hard, running side by side with that car.
It doesn't mean a thing to me, and I'm biting my fingernails off. I know that.
Go in there. There you go.
There you go.
Last 4 races for Kyle Busch. Victory lane at Talladega. 2nd at Richmond. Win at Darlington. 3rd at Lowe's Motor Speedway. What a season.
Here he comes.
Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs Racing tame the Monster Mile.
And there he goes.
Awesome job.
Carl Edwards finishes 2nd. Greg Biffle 3rd. And it'll be Matt Kenseth 4th. All for Roush Fenway Racing. And Jeff Gordon on the lead lap in 5th. Finally, last year's winner Martin Truex, last car on the lead lap, in 6th. Wild Thing wins again.
And he raced 3 days here. He raced the trucks, he raced the nationwide cars, and he ends up today here in Victory Circle.
And he had a car and truck that could have done what this car did today. This is the first race he was able to close the deal without a problem.
Time to line him up.
Nobody does it better, I can tell you that.
He has a lot of practice.
He does. I like that.
3 wins in the last 5 Sprint Cup races for Kyle Busch as he pulls up to the autism puzzle pieces at the start-finish line.
Give me that flag.
We'll follow him to victory lane when we come back.
Promotional consideration paid for by these fine folks. Busch and Victory Lane, third win in 5 races. Our Steve Burns is down there looking for him. Steve.
Well, thank you, Chris. Kyle Busch climbs out of that number 18 car. Big celebration here in Victory Lane. His first Cup victory on the Monster Mile. Kyle, I heard you say earlier in the race that you weren't as good as the Roush cars. How did you guys get the car better? How did you get past them?
Steve Addington and these guys, you know, Steve Addington first, he made all the adjustments on this race car, this combo Toyota, and made it better than what it was in the beginning, that's for sure. But these guys on pit road did a phenomenal job for me. Great job on the pit stops all day. Had a smooth, great day on pit road. And just want to thank my fans, thank the fans out there, everybody that watches NASCAR racing and puts up with all of us, and me especially. But you know, we're just proud to be here. And we definitely didn't have the car to beat today. We had a third-place car, but we made the most of our effort there. And I believe on the long run, we were as equal as they were. We just had to get out front to beat them.
Kyle, I heard you say on the radio you wanted that monster trophy to go home in the truck.
Well, that was Dickerson, but we missed out on 2 of those this weekend, and that's a fact. I believe that if we didn't have our troubles in the truck race, we could have won the thing. If we didn't have our troubles yesterday, we could have won the nationwide race too. So just apologize to Billy Blue Motorsports and Braun Racing, but got to thank JGR and all these guys back in the shop. They do such a great job. Mark in the engine shop, he's doing great. He's definitely stressing out, but we're definitely making the most of what we got right now, and can't wait till we get something else.
Congratulations, Kyle Busch. Another win in 2008. Let's go to Krista.
Well, the fans definitely saw a battle of the best between Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards. You guys have been ahead of the class. How hard were you digging those last 50 laps?
That's all I could do. Second place is, I mean, this is a forced smile. It's terrible, you know, but my Office Depot team, these guys back at the shop, everybody working on these cars, they're getting things done. They're making them fast. I felt like we had a car that could beat the 18 most of the day, and we just struggle on pit road. That's something we've been working really hard on, and you know, they were just better. We finished second.
Thanks for forcing the grin, Matt Yoakum.
The dominant car in the first third of the race belonged to Greg Biffle on the 16, and then you had to go into survival mode because of all your issues. What was the biggest thing you had to fight near the end?
Probably the biggest thing was we couldn't run the right front bead blower, and the car got tight. But you know, we lost our alternator early, first 100 laps, and when Carl was catching us, it wasn't running at the end of the straightaway. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I was switching boxes, and looked down, the volts were about 9 volts. So we shut all the fans off and air conditioner, and you know, it's pretty tough. I didn't have any oxygen inside the car the whole day, and my visor open. There's too much dust and debris flying around, so I kept it shut. But it was a long day for us. We finished third. It's what we need to do for points, and you know, excited that for Fox, you know, they did a great job this first half of the season. Can't wait to see them back in Daytona.
Thanks for all the excitement you've showed us, Greg.
Thank you.
To Dick Berggren.
With Matt Kenseth, who had his best run of the year, his best finish of the year, 4th. Clearly progress. Are you satisfied with your progress?
Well, yes and no. I mean, you always want to win. You know, we were a little bit off. You know, all the Roush Fenway cars were faster when they got here, and just got to figure out how to make ours just a little faster, I guess, than the rest. But we're just a little off. But overall, it was a great day. I mean, we're going the right way. I mean, I feel like we're on an upswing every week. We've been getting a little better over the last month or so. So proud of all these DeWalt guys are digging in. We know we still got some work to do to be a contender to win, but we're getting closer.
Driver was solid, and the crew was solid. Matt?
And catching up on pit road with Jeff Gordon, the home track for he and sponsor DuPont. What about your day today?
Well, we finished 5th. You know, you got to be happy about that. But, you know, it's a distant 5th, and we got just too loose there at the end. And I was just riding it to the finish. Knew it was going to be a big points day. Unfortunately, some guys had some big trouble. You know, we got an awesome pit crew and team. I mean, they're doing their job right here on pit road, communication. I mean, it was a solid weekend for us. We were about a 5th place car, and that's what we got.
All right, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
So these are the unofficial results, and Kyle Busch, you heard some boos in the background. Remember his quote after winning a race, I don't care about the boos. I'm here to race. I'm here to win. If I win, it just makes them more upset and crying on their way home. As we look at these results, Kyle Busch clearly after 13 races, the guy to beat Jeff Hammond, who has the best shot putting pressure on for him in the chase for the Sprint Cup Championship.
Right now, I've got to believe it's going to come from Roush Fenway, and the reason being Jack Roush dislikes Toyota. He'll work 10 times harder to figure out how to get his cars in front of that group right there. So look for Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle, and maybe Matt Kenseth put pressure on him during the chase.
And it was Kyle in the Toyota, and then 3 of the Roush Fenway Fords, and then 4 Chevys in the finishing order here. We'll check on points in a moment. Some final thoughts from our guys in the booth. Larry, Darrell, Mike.
Thanks, Chris. I would agree with Jeff that Roush Fenway is perhaps best poised to challenge Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs for the championship. The Childress cars have been there, the Hendrick cars, those Chevrolets getting better, and I think they'll be in challenging position. It's going to be interesting to see how this season unfolds, and I hate it's going to unfold without us, but that's the way it goes.
You know, I watched American Idol, and David Cook, and when he won, he's saying, I had the time of my life. I have had the time of my life.
It has been a great season. You know, it's been a season of surprises. You know, 4 months ago, 13 races ago, I think we were anticipating it was going to be Hendrick Motorsports versus Joe Gibbs Racing. Certainly Joe Gibbs Racing, they're in the mix, but it almost seems like it's Kyle Busch versus maybe Roush Fenway. And, you know, we've had 43 drivers every week that has made it exciting for NASCAR on Fox, and we'll be back. Daytona Speed Weeks 2009.
Well, I'm proudest of our team. Artie Kempner, Barry Landis, Richie Zions, all the folks in the production truck, up on the roof, all the way through our entire television compound for helping us do what we love to do and just bring our passion for this sport into your living room every Sunday. It's a labor of love for all of us, and one that we will joyfully continue in February.
You know what I'm proud of? You guys.
You got it. You got it.
A three-way hug to wrap things up. We couldn't have done it without David Blatt either. What? Who's he? Well, he helps us out behind the scenes like a lot of people. And as we talk about how quickly things can turn or change, the Monster Mile, an example, the trophy there with your winner, Kyle Busch. Track position important for him. He was out in front with Carl Edwards. We weren't even 20 miles into this race, Jeff Hammond. And you see in the 19 car, Elliott Sadler, David Gilliland. This created not only a 10-car wreck, brought out the red flag, but watch some of the guys. There's Tony Stewart. We had half of the top 12 drivers in points. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the middle of that, trying to hang third, that were involved in this. Some were able to get back out on the track. Here's the effect after 13 races. That's where we stand in points.
It really kind of jumbled things up. Not so much about what Kyle Busch is doing, but more importantly, the guys that were trying to get in the top 12, well, they've closed up a lot. And the guys who wanted to stay in the top 12, well, they've lost some valuable ground.
And Matt Kenseth, now he's only 95 points out of that 12 spot. He's inching a little bit closer, and that's the important cutoff over these next 13 races, obviously.
And it looks like Matt and his group are starting to kind of like, you know, find their own deal, and it's kind of like making it interesting as far as him fighting his way back in that top 12.
At Toyota, no wins last year. They have 5 this year. Gibbs Racing, Kyle Busch has 4 of those. Horsepower advantage, you hear that rumbling from other people, but obviously Gibbs, the race team, they've done their work.
They've done their homework. I mean, you've got to tip your hat to them, because the fact they definitely got their tails kicked a year ago. Right now, Kyle Busch is leading this charge, and Joe Gibbs Racing, well, it pretty much sums it up. They've got 5 wins under this Toyota banner, and all of them have come from Joe Gibbs Racing, the majority from Kyle Busch, but also Denny Hamlin, and some real close races with Tony Stewart. So you are going to be the one you're going to have to contend with before the end of the year.
Tony Stewart wanted me to mention he hasn't won a race yet this year. But
looking for you.
I kid because I care. Neither has Jeff Gordon, and Junior now 75 races without a win, longest in his career, but he's hanging in there in the points as you just saw. Major League Baseball, 3:30 Eastern on Fox, 12:30 Pacific. High definition. The action continues throughout, all the way up to the All-Star game through the postseason. Of course, the NFL on Fox before we come back for more racing. Daytona 500 again, NASCAR on Fox. We go from Daytona to Dover. So Kyle Busch, the 23-year-old points leader, pulling into victory lane today. This is Fox's final NASCAR broadcast of the year. It's been a wild ride, and we thank you for your support. Brian France, Mike Helton, because of you, the viewers, the television ratings have increased for our pre-race show and the race themselves, and we couldn't have done it without the drivers, their teams, NASCAR, and you. We look forward to Daytona. We wish TNT the best of luck as they take over the NASCAR broadcast next week in Pocono. For our entire Emmy Award-winning team, for Jeff Hammond, for Digger, I'm Chris Myers. Thanks for being a part of NASCAR on Fox. We really appreciate the support. And for NASCAR on Fox, it's over in Dover.
Bye.